We probably need to jump down also, and let's catch the Area Technology Center first, because Jeremy Faulkner is going to have to go.
Before gear up.
Yes. Well,
Is he even on?
Testing.
We even have him.
I don't know what I just did.
All right, sound is good.
Okay, I'm calling this meeting to order. Welcome everyone, and thank you for being here.
That's me.
Okay, and we are going to stand and say the pledge.
Go, Summer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, just a reminder to sign in. And Mr. Tyler, do you have any messages?
I'm sorry, Jeremy. I accidentally.
Is it mine?
Well, no, it's me.
It's a loop because you got a Google Meets are not designed for meetings like this. But I was assuming you're going to be away from it, so
I'm muted now, so you can pick me up on the microphone. There are no revisions, but I would ask that we jump down to construction update Area Technology Center, and then we'll come back to the Gear Up presentation. Jeremy Faulkner has to leave us, and we're a little bit delayed in our meeting. Jeremy, are you still with us? Can you see if he's on there?
I'm not seeing him. Let me look on the list of people.
He may have had to go.
No, he is, but he's muted.
Jeremy, if you could unmute, we'll get going.
I'm going to check with everybody.
Oh, mine, just one. You're still saying the pledge.
I see the payday.
Hey, everyone on the meet, can you all hear us okay?
There's a bit of an echo, but you sounded better than the last couple.
Yeah, unfortunately, guys, just due to feedback loops, we're just going to have to try to deal with the echo as best we can, so we apologize about that.
Jeremy, if you can unmute, we'll go to your report.
Being on the screen. I tried to flip my head.
Jeremy Faulkner, if you can hear us, if you can unmute.
Mr. Saylor, do you have yours muted?
Yes.
Okay, he might not have been able to hear you. Try to.
It came up with message.
Yeah, it just came up.
Popped up.
I don't think he can hear us.
Jeremy, can you unmute?
He's on. They can only hear
Jonathan
Jeremy.
says they can
Simpson.
only hear you. They cannot hear anybody else.
There's no, you're all microphones are muted, so if you unmute, they should be able to hear you.
We can unmute when we talk, correct?
Correct.
Jeremy says he's having trouble. Can you hear me now? Josh, you just said that you couldn't hear anybody. Jeremy, can you hear me? Okay. Jeremy, if there's a problem, we can let Peter give the update. He will carry it on. I guess Ms. Hardy, what we need to do, it looks like he has a problem. So if we could go ahead and we could go ahead and just go back up to gear up, and we'll just follow the presentation as is, and then we will ask Peter to give the update.
Okay. So we will move on with the Gear Up presentation and update.
Who was supposed to be presenting that? It was somebody from the middle school, but I am not seeing her as being logged in, and I see an unknown. If you all look at this bottom left corner, right there, I don't know who that is.
Let them in and see if that is the gear.
They are.
Guys, we're sorry for the technical difficulty here. Do we have our Gear Up representative that's going to present? Jeremy, you're back with us. You want to try to unmute again? See, he can't hear us.
Okay.
Jeremy,
if you move your mouse to the bottom of your screen, you should see 3 round circles. The one on the left is your microphone. If it's red, you need to click on it to unmute it. You may have to pull your mouse down to the bottom of the screen for a white bar to appear, Jeremy, before you'll see the 3 circles.
Yeah, I think he's trying. I don't think.
also, the unknown that we have on here is for our Gear Up. She said basically we're going to watch a video, and then she will be here to answer questions.
Perfect.
So, I'm waiting to see if Jeremy gets.
He had trouble today when we did the meeting, but he's at home now. I don't know.
He wants me to call him real quick. While we're doing this, I'm going to go ahead and play the video, and I'll call Jeremy.
Okay.
Thank you.
For those on the meeting, I'm going to go ahead and play the video, and then I'm going to call Jeremy Faulkner to help him out. And then once we get done with the presentation, we'll switch back over.
I'm going to suggest that we move to the high school on our next meeting where we can social distance and try to do something in person if we can get these COVID numbers under control.
Hello, my name is Tricia Patterson, and I am the Reading Academic Interventionist. And it's a pleasure for me to present to you some of the wonderful things that we have been doing in the Gear Up Opportunity Program. We have a college and career navigator and an AI, each at the middle school and high school. Suzanne Waite is a college and career navigator. Blake Crow, the math academic interventionist, and they are at the middle school this year. Hannah Eaton, the college and career navigator, myself, are working with the 9th grade at the high school. This is just a slide of some of the pre-pandemic field trips that we have taken our cohort on. These are to EKU and to UK. And our Gear Up team, our club, has done a lot community service projects, and it was an animal shelter supply drive for the animal shelter here in Estill County. We have partnered with Frisk to provide monthly family nights. This was a STEM family night, and we will have our first virtual family night Thursday, 17th. Over the summer, we had a summer reading program, and we also had a STEM program, and so there were instructional videos online for the students. This was an example of a reading program. The kids, there were books and hands-on activities that the students could do that complemented the books. They made maps, bookmarks, and we have a STEM. This was a sample that a student had brought in. This was, they had to build a roller coaster, and that was a take-home activity. And then each of us have, Blake and Suzanne, and then Hannah and I, we have created this year a virtual Bitmoji classroom. And these are interactive, so when the students can log on, we have different activities, virtual college field trips. We have STEM career links where they can explore different STEM careers, what schools offer those STEM careers, the college requirements, also different skills that each month Garrett will focus on. And this is Blake and Suzanne's Bitmoji classroom. So as you see, we have different links to college readiness, college information, our Check and Connect, which is a mentoring program that our college and career navigators work with on our students. The Learning Blade is the STEM program that we work with the students for STEM careers. YTRI is another mentoring counseling program to help meet our students' needs. And then this is a sample of some of the take-home kits. This will be a take-home kit that our students will, our families will receive at our first virtual family night. We also have National Gear Up Week coming up, so we have different virtual activities, interactive activities that students and families can do with us and kind of share. And then we also partner with Frisk, and we send home monthly newsletters just as a resource to families. And we do a lot of co-teaching with our cohort, Blake and I, a lot of tutoring, checking on our caseload, a lot of home visits, working on good attitudes, classroom organization, just preparing them for gaining early awareness and readiness for the education programs. Thank you. It was a pleasure to just kind of let you know all the good things that we are doing here with Gear Up.
Thank you.
Guys, as you know, Gear Up is a wonderful program, and we're very fortunate to have 4 wonderful people working in that program. I know they're looking forward to getting back to in-person classes so that they can have more one-on-one interactions with those students. But this is our second round with Gear Up. We completed a Gear Up grant just 2 years ago, and I think this is year 3 of this Gear Up program because it started with 7th graders that are now freshmen. That's why it's moving into the high school now. And it's here for another 4 years. So, students, but...
You have your microphone. For the Google Meet people. Sorry, guys, I know this is kind of
So again, we're very appreciative of our folks and what they're doing for our kids.
Okay. Next on the agenda, we have tax rates for 2020 and 2021. We'll start with the property. Are we going back?
We'll be through in just a second.
He's, I've got him dialed in, so.
Okay.
just let him know. Yeah, we can hear.
Jeremy, give us one minute and we'll be ready for you.
Okay. We're going to start with the 2020-2021 property tax rate.
As you all know, at the last meeting, we actually set the property tax rate, and we froze the rate at 51.1 cents, which means that there is not a tax increase for the FY21 school year. We just completed the public hearing for that tax rate. Since it is not the compensating rate, we did have to have a tax hearing. Had a good discussion with the people that were present, and I feel like that the questions was answered. We do not take lightly anytime we consider tax rates. We know it's very important to our citizens. Our board knows it's very important to our citizens, and we want to guarantee that, and we all guarantee our citizens that any money raised through our taxes is spent for our kids. And so it is with that I make a recommendation to you all that we confirm the 51.1 cents per $100 valuation for real and personal property for the FY21 school year.
Do we have a motion? Thank you, Brian. Do we have a second? Thanks, Jenny. Any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay. Motion passes. Next, we'll move on to the 2020-2021 motor vehicle and watercraft rates.
As you know, the motor vehicle and watercraft rate has been 54.8 cents the entire time that I've been superintendent. I don't know how far that goes back. So that rate has remained unchanged for at least the last 6 years. And my recommendation is that we leave that rate at 54.8 cents. And that's my recommendation.
Do we have a motion? Thank you, Sheila. Do we have a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you all, kids and families.
Okay, we're going to Jeremy now.
Yes, he's up.
You still with us, Jeremy?
Jeremy, if you're with us, we're ready for an update.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
All right, I'll just give a brief synopsis of the project real quick. As everybody can see, the headway, we've made a lot of headway on that this month. The structural steel is starting to go up across the parent loop and the high school parking there. In area B, which is on top where all the blocks, metal studs are being installed, we will be looking to install the roof on that area on 9/28. And then we'll get that dried in, and that will release all of our mechanical, electrical, and plumbing to take place. And then on area A, we're moving a little slower down there due to weather, but we are still tracking pretty good right now. We look to install the roof on area A right around Christmas, or maybe a week or so after. But we are targeting that first week of January right now. Our substantial completion date, as it stands right now, is 6/28/2001. As we get more weather days, that may likely divide some, but we definitely don't want to slide too far because we want to have you all in the building. good meeting today. A lot of subs are on site now, so a lot more coordination is taking place. That's about all I have. If anybody has any questions for Mr. Taylor, if you want me to hit on any other topics as far as the project, I'll be happy to do so.
Board, does any of you all have any questions? It's good to see the progress that's going on that facility. We had a construction meeting today. It's very productive. The upper part of that building should be under roof here by around the 1st of November, so that will allow them to move inside and start work. And hopefully sometime right about the 1st of January, the roof will be on the other part of the building. They've got to go up 2 stories, so it's going to take a little time, but I feel like that they're doing a good job. Jeremy and his crew's doing a good job, and we've got a good design team with Ross Tarrant, so we feel really good about what's going on.
Okay. Next, we have a pay application, number 13.
We have a pay application, and I was trying to open it up. I'm having trouble even with the KSBA website tonight to open up that attachment. It's for a little bit over $700,000. If you all have had the opportunity to open that, it has been opened by the review team at Ross Tarrant and also at Codell, and my recommendation is that we pay that pay app.
Do we have a motion? Thanks, Brian. Do we have a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. So next we have to approve the EDA grant requirements.
And we've got Jonathan with us, and I don't know if Jonathan wants to make any comments about this document. But EDA required what is called a covenant of purpose, and they do this with a lot of their projects. And basically, it is a 20-year covenant that the Board of Education is agreeing that this facility will be used as the grant said it would be used. Of course, we're building an area technology center. It's going to be hard to do anything else with it. So it is going to be used as an area technology center. Jonathan has completed the paperwork on this, and I know that we are ready to file it with the clerk, and I believe it's been forwarded, or Felicia's in the progress of forwarding it. As soon as they record it in the deed book, it will go to EDA, and then we should expect payment somewhere in the neighborhood of about $1.1 million here over the next 3 to 4 weeks as the first payment towards that grant. So my recommendation is that I don't see this as any big deal. We're building an area technology center. They want us to guarantee it's going to be used as an area technology center, so I think that's pretty much a no-brainer. So my recommendation is to approve the covenant. And Jonathan, do you have anything you want to add?
Not really. I would just agree with your comments. I think they were accurate. So we've got the covenant in a manner that they were agreeable with, and everything is signed and ready for the board's consideration.
And Jonathan and his team's done a good job. You know, there's some requirements by Kentucky law, and we've got a good board attorney, and they've got a good staff. So I do recommend the passage of this motion.
Okay, do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay, it's approved. Next, we have an update on the bus garage.
Mr. Peter Fisher.
Hey, you guys. Thanks for having me. I hope everybody can hear me okay.
You're good, man.
The bus garage project is going very well. We had big news this month. with the fuel tanks arriving and getting installed in the ground, which is a great step forward for the project. John Standifer and his crew have been really busy, not just finishing up getting the building ready for you guys, but they've also been doing a lot of site concrete work as well. And those are the major positives. And the other positive I can take is looking out at the weather over the next couple of weeks looks super good for continuing with the progress. So I'll be happy to answer any questions you have about the project, if you have any.
I don't know if y'all have had an opportunity to get up there, but it's a good-looking building and a lot of work going around it. I was up there today, just went by, talked to John for a while, and we're still looking at first, second week of October, so we're in good shape. Yes, Sheila?
Can we have a tour of it? Set up the date?
Peter, I think that if any of you all want to go, if you'll just call me, I'll make an arrangement to just go with you. If we go more than two of us, then we have to have a special called meeting. So, as you know, but I will be glad to take anybody. Next week is a really good week for us with board meeting coming back, and you may not be, but the following week is also just as good. If you'll call me and give me a day's notice, I'll be glad to take you. And I know that you have your hard hat. The rest of you all need to pick up your hard hat if you don't have one. Because if you go on that construction site, you do need to wear them, and you're more than welcome to go on those construction sites. Jeremy will be glad to have you, John as well, but if you call me, you want to go, we'll be glad to do it. And we could even next month, if you wanted to, at the October board meeting, if you wanted to, we could have a special called meeting around 5 o'clock and visit both sites, and then have our board meeting at 6, if that would be okay with everybody, if everybody can make a 5 o'clock. I mean, if you couldn't make the special call, it's okay, but we would have our board meeting at 6. And if we can get our COVID numbers back under control, then we might look to move our board meeting and maybe allow some in-person at the high school auditorium. We could social distance that facility pretty easily if you all chose to do that, and you all need just let me know if you'll talk to the chair and the vice chair, and and if that's your wishes, we'll just meet at the bus garage and go to the bus garage, and then after the bus garage, we'll go to the tech center and then have the meeting at the high school. It'll be a special called meeting, the entire thing would be, because we're at a different site. We just start at 5 o'clock, but convene the actual meeting agenda at 6. That's okay with you all? And I think Peter at that time, maybe travel restrictions, Peter could join us, and Jeremy could stick around late for us, and they could also be there to just give everybody a tour. You could do that, couldn't you, Peter?
Absolutely.
I think it'd be a good time to go, because the bus garage would be almost 95% complete at that time. So you'll get to be able to see almost finished product.
Correct.
Any other questions? Okay.
Okay, next we have a pay application number 8 with the associated direct purchase orders.
And we have that pay application. It just came up. It's for $154,046.84. It's been reviewed by the design team and been approved for payment. My recommendation is that you do so.
Do we have a motion? Thanks, Brian. Do we have a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next on the agenda, we have to approve a special inspection invoice.
That's also at the bus garage. They send it as a separate billing, and that's what we've been doing on this project. And as you can see there, it's for $9,234.40. And of course, that's your special inspector who's there to make sure that everything is going correct. You're installing diesel and gas and DF fluid tanks up there right now. That inspector's there making sure that it's being installed correctly, and money well spent. They're on site pretty much every day, or anything that they're doing major, they have to be there. So that is in line as well. It's been reviewed by Peter and his team as well, and it's, the recommended motion is to approve that payment.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Jenny. Do we have a second? Thanks, Sheila. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, motion carries.
Knocked out of the saddle, Brian.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have the Central Office Middle School Bleacher Replacement Project.
Peter, give us a quick update on the Bleacher project and where we're at.
So currently, with the Bleacher project, the contract, it has been sent to KDE, and KDE is reviewing that. Chris Todbon is in contact with them, pushing the last bit of that through. So hopefully, once the contract gets approved, he will be gearing up to get these 2 sets of bleachers into the district. So at this point, at least the last that I heard, which was yesterday morning, when I spoke to Chris, he is in contact with John Gilbert at KDE, and they're ironing out the final details of all of the requirements that KDE is looking for that project.
Peter, just a quick question. The board would be interested. Have the bleachers been ordered, or do we have to wait until that contract is agreed because it's going to impact the installation date?
Yeah, I'll have to double check with Chris, but I would be surprised if he placed the order for the bleachers. So I'll double check with him and let you know. I'm not positive, Jeff. I would think he would probably, from a business standpoint, would need to wait until he that document was set up.
Peter, I think speaking on behalf of the board, and I usually don't do that, but I will this time. With basketball season starting yesterday, the vote was made to start practice late, but to move forward with the season on time, which means that there will be basketball games starting sometime around the first week of December.
Okay.
Of course, there's going to be a lot of restrictions on crowds, and I know nobody likes to hear that. And we'll talk about those a little bit later. And I plan on updating the board on that later for those that's tuned in and want to hear about any of the athletic restrictions in terms of attendance. We'll address that later on. But if those bleachers aren't in by December 1, it's going to have an impact on some of our basketball games. So please make sure that that is communicated with everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll check with Chris, and I'll be in touch with you to let you know exactly and give you the answers to your questions about the bleachers on order and what the expectation is with the folks in Frankfurt.
I know that's only about the 10th thing that we've got you working on, so, but that is important because especially with that high school gym being impacted. So thank you for that.
Okay, next we have the high school renovation phase 7. First, we have approved a financial advisor contract.
And Peter, you need to stick with us, but we should have Mark with us. I see his big M down there at the bottom. Can you hear us?
I can. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we miss seeing you in person, man, and you look good sitting there in your car. You still got your bow tie on.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to head into another school board meeting here in Graves County, and it worked out because both you guys and them are blue and white. So that really worked out for me.
Well, that's good. Any chance you can wear an engineer hat into their meeting?
If you can get me one in the next 10 minutes, I'd be happy to do it.
No, well, we'll let you by. We can't get it to you that quick. Well, we're ready for the first agenda item, which is to approve the financial advisor contract.
Okay. And, this is probably the first advisory contract that you guys will adopt that's actually with Baird. Baird is the company that acquired Hilliard Lyons late last year. And as far as the contract, the terms of it goes, everything is the same. It's the same fee structure. Everything is exactly the same as you're used to seeing with the old Hilliard Lyons contract.
And there's also a disclosure statement, I believe, that goes with that. Could you let the board know what that disclosure statement is about, Mark?
Sure, yeah. So we are required to make certain disclosures anytime we're getting engaged as a financial advisor. It basically talks about, things like the fact that we have multiple clients, that demand our time, that could be a conflict of interest with, trying to prioritize everything. It also talks about how we are paid based on the size of a bond issue when it is sold and not until then, and how those conflicts are mitigated by a fiduciary responsibility that we have to you to act in your best financial interest at all times. So that's just a required industry disclosure, and it's nothing at all to be alarmed about.
So guys, I guess to sum that up, we're still dealing with the same group of people, only under a different name, from Hilliard and Lyons to Baird, and Mark and them have been, his team, they've been very good to us, and based on our last bond sale, we saw what they were able to do, especially in us obtaining our own credit rating, which was huge towards that bond sale. That allowed us to get a better rate. And honestly, right now, there's no better time to be selling bonds with interest rates where they're at. So my recommendation to you all is that we approve the contract with them and allow them to work on our behalf.
Do I have a motion, Brian? Thank you. Thanks, Sheila. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, motion carries. Next, we had to approve the funding resolution.
Okay, so this is a resolution that is going to authorize the use of some general fund money up to $150,000, not necessarily requiring it, but up to that amount. And that revenue is not dipping into your fund balance. That's revenue generated by the additional revenue created by the tax rate that you guys just set. So this resolution authorizes you, does not require you to use up to $150,000 from the general fund to support your bonding capacity.
And just so you'll know from a breakdown, our actual bonding that the district had without this amount is somewhere in the neighborhood of about $7 to $7.5 million, if I'm correct, Mark. And
Yes.
This will allow us to bond somewhere conservatively, or sort of mild conservatively, somewhere around 8, Mark? I think it was. And we'll
Yeah.
see that
Yeah.
here in just a minute. He's going to bring that up in a minute. It could bond all the way up to about 11.3, 11.4 based on tax rates, or based on the bond rate we're able to obtain on the day of the sale, which we hope to happen sometime in January, early February. So, and we'll talk about this as we get into bonding rate while we're doing this, or while we're getting into our bonding potential. But my recommendation to you all is that because of the tax rates you just passed, the additional revenue, about 50% of that revenue is going to be spent to complete the high school renovation project, which is phase 7, and it is the last phase of the high school renovation project. And we can put that baby to bed for about 25 years, right, Peter? And this should put us in good shape.
That's the goal.
That's the goal. So my recommendation is to approve the general fund resolution.
I'll make the motion. Thanks, Jenny. Do we have a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Next, we have our current bonding potential.
And Mark, Jeremy's going to pull that up on the screen. So if you could just sort of go through what we just discussed in terms of bonding potential.
Yeah. I'll wait till he gets that up on the screen. Okay, great. So you'll see there right there at the top, I've kind of broken down, exactly what your bonding capacity is right now. That's about $10.6 million from local sources to include, your local nickel, your recallable nickel, the equalization you get from the state. All of those funding sources there under your bondable revenues are included in the local piece. And you'll recall back in probably January, you accepted a new offer of assistance from the SFCC, and that will bond about an additional $240,000. So altogether, as Jeff mentioned, your total bonding capacity is just over $10.8 million, and that is using fairly conservative rates. If I can use actually today's interest rates, it'd be more like 11.1, somewhere thereabouts. So we feel like that's a fairly conservative number. The big things that have happened since I was last in front of you were that you did receive full equalization of your recallable nickel. The bit of a bummer there was that they included a sunset provision, so that equalization actually stops in 2038. So that's why you see that drop down in the line on the graph below, is where that equalization falls off. But helping you is the fact that they increased the equalization rate from $417 per student up to $458 per student. And I think it's fair to say that without that increase, it would have been tough to get this project done. But that has been a substantial help, not only to you guys, but to all school districts. So those are the major developments. And Jeff hinted on this earlier too, interest rates have plummeted. I mean, we are seeing 20-year borrowings at like 2%, or just a little bit more than 2%. It's unbelievable. So there couldn't be a better time to be trying to get into the market for a project like this. So that's kind of where it stands. About $10.8 million. Hopefully interest rates will stay where they are. Maybe they could go a little bit lower and, preserve a little bit more capacity.
And I would say this, our goal would not be to bond all that money. We do need to keep a little bit there for any type of an emergency, although there are provisions that if a district does have emergency, there are emergency dollars. If something happened, we had a storm that took the roof off a part of our building or something, we are able to apply for emergency dollars as well. The deal here is that we need enough bonding potential. If you remember, the promise to our community was we would renovate that high school. And just so everybody knows, we talked about this a little bit in the tax hearing. 5 years ago, we had $1 million worth of bonding potential. We did not have the ability to do anything. And this community stepped up to the plate, and they decided that, yes, we want to have better facilities for our kids, and they supported the recallable nickel. And when the recallable nickel passed, our tax rate was actually 51.5 cents. And it is over the last 4 years, the tax rate has actually fell to 51.1. Even though we did freeze the tax rate tonight, the overall impact of the last 4 years has been a reduction in the tax rate. And what the recallable nickel has done for us is, as of right now, when the Area Technology Center is finished in July, we will have spent $24.5 million in buildings and facilities in our school district. And of course, $9.7 million of that was grant funding that our staff here at the district office worked very hard on obtaining. So that's what's allowing the high school project to happen. If it hadn't been for the grant money, we wouldn't be having a high school renovation, because the high school renovation is going to come in right about $10 million, maybe a little bit higher. But it's going to be right there in that neighborhood. And so really appreciate Mark and his team getting our own rating was very helpful in the last project, and that will help us here. And I know they'll work diligently, and now with that general fund resolution, it's going to allow us to get a revised BG1 here pretty quick, and will help get this project approved and moving forward. Mark, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add. We appreciate your time, and we're going to let Peter take the floor for a little bit longer. You're welcome to stay with us if you want to, and we appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to come and speak tonight. And I do think I'm going to have to run into my other board meeting here. So,
That sounds good.
all right. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have consideration approval of the schematic design.
This afternoon, I've actually met, we've really met about 3 times on this. I've met with Peter the last 2 days. They did a lot of early changes yesterday. And then this afternoon, after meeting with the athletic director and also meeting with the principal and talking to some of our coaches, there was some recommendations that have come down that Peter and them are going to work on. And that's why I want to share this with everybody tonight so everybody will know what's going on. But I really feel like if you all can make it, we need to have a special called meeting. If we can have it next Thursday night, if we need to, if that doesn't work for everybody, we can look at another time. But if it can, we're only talking about probably about a 45-minute to 1 hour meeting if we can meet from about 6 to 7, if that works for everybody. And if it does, we'll go ahead and let Felicia start making some postings, and we'll let everybody know because it's special call. Somebody
Jenny
can't.
has a conflict. It's 8th grade night for the middle school football team.
And I think it starts at 5:30.
It starts at 5:30. Can we do it at 7 and go 7 to 8? Does that work for
I
everybody?
can walk him out on the field, that'd be fine. I think so.
Wait a minute. I'll be talking to you in a minute.
That's-
There won't be an 8th grade night this coming week. And it's gonna have to be rescheduled, so you're gonna be available at 6, I hate to tell you.
Thanks to COVID.
We've got sad news with our COVID rate and the new regs that have come down from the Kentucky Department of Public Health. So I'll be sharing that with you a little bit later in the meeting, so you've got a preview of that. But we'll try to work on getting something rescheduled, but we'll still work and see if 6 o'clock works for him, that's what we'll do. We'll start out here, and Peter, I'm gonna let you sort of I'm gonna hush for a minute, and everybody's gonna be surprised by that, but I'm gonna let you take the con here, and you can go through the renovations here, starting with the high school building itself.
Okay, I will be happy to do that. The building itself is getting what I would consider to be a major update. And I think KDE will as well. You're going to be able to, for the first time since this building has come together, you're going to have HVAC controls for the entire building. It's a really big piece of it to be able to control air in your building. And we're also going to be doing an LED lighting upgrade, which is also needed in this building and will make a huge difference once the kids are back. The gym is going to get some upgrades, including HVAC and air conditioning. Electrical and power upgrades are due in that building as well. We are, per Senate Bill 1, school security is a big deal, and we are going to be providing a new secure entry vestibule for this space. And with that vestibule, we are going to be doing some admin suite renovations that include reworking an admin reception so that entry into the school will be very, much more secure. We are going to be updating the nurses station with a restroom, and we are going to be looking at the admin suite renovation. If you can see it over in the southeast corner of the building, and the principal's offices in that area will also be getting an upgrade. Along with Senate Bill 1, making sure that all of the hardware, the door hardware in the building is ADA accessible, and it also that all of the doors with glazing in them have an apparatus that will allow teachers in a lockdown situation to be able to cover the glass and lock the door. So those are all really critical pieces of Senate Bill 1.
Peter, let me add one thing right here before you go beyond that, so you all will know we will receive additional funding to do those upgrades. So that will be funding outside of your bonding potential that will help pay for that, okay?
Yes. There's not a huge amount of plumbing upgrades, but we are doing some. The restroom sink units, it has been indicated to us, are in need of being replaced, and especially in this day and age with COVID-19, a lot of districts moving to water bottle fillers. They will be provided at existing drinking fountains throughout the building, which is a really good thing. Business classroom is down in the lower level of the building. There are a couple of classrooms there that need better egress, safer egress out. Other way. Sorry, there we go. They're the two dark blue rooms in the middle there. If you could scroll it just a little bit, I'm kind of relying on your slide. Thank you. That's all I need. So we're also going to be converting what is currently used as a custodial closet outside of the gym will be converted to an athletic trainer room. That's the number 5 there on the second level floor plan that you can see. There are several floors in the building that need the VCT tile is in need of replacement. We estimate it's about 3,000 square feet. And then there are a couple of site improvements. There's a retaining wall that is failing outside the back of the building as you leave. And then there is a sewer line that is also needs to be explored and jetted and possibly relocated. So that gives you sort of an outline of everything that we're tackling inside the building. This project is about, well, it's really 3 different arenas, and the building is the first of 3. And I'm not sure what's queued up on the next slide.
We've still got the dugout drawings and stuff a little bit.
Yep.
On that
so all of these buildings that you see on this one are related to athletic facility improvements, related to the baseball and softball fields, as well as the football and track and soccer facility and stadium. The buildings that you see on this are all related to those facilities. The dugouts and the press box concession stand building on the far left side of the sheet, those are all related to the softball and baseball venues. There's a home dugout with locker rooms, offices, and field storage. There's a visitor team dugout that's not quite as nice. And then you have your press box concession stand, which the lower level will have a concession stand and restrooms, and a stair in the middle, a central stair in the middle that will lead up to the press box at the top.
And guys, that will look different because after some discussions, the concessions were going to open to the field, but as we've talked to several different people, there's a lot of problems when people are standing in line for the concession, and then there's a batted ball that comes off of the bat. And if somebody's standing there in a white shirt, the shortstop, pitcher, and second baseman cannot pick up the ball flight. So we're going to rotate that and take care of that, but we're still going to install a window on the front of that building where the parents that are working in there can watch the game. And hopefully as we move forward with this press box, it will allow us some streaming capabilities later on as we move towards live streaming of our athletic events. Yes, ma'am.
We are not putting a restroom in the visitor's dugout.
No, because of sewer issues, and most places do not do that, Sheila. They can still use the restrooms that are provided. It's a little added luxury for the home team in order to do that. I mean, we could explore it if that's something you all would want to, but it would require additional sewer lines and water lines. And I don't know, Peter could probably throw a cost estimate on that. But I do know that I personally built softball and baseball fields before in another school district, and we did not do that as well. It's not something normally done. And correct me if I'm wrong, Peter.
I did not quite hear Sheila's question, but I think it had to do with a restroom in the visitors dugout, possibly.
Yeah.
Or
Yes, and I said that most places do not provide a restroom in the visitors dugout, and I wanted.
that is correct. That is correct.
The relationship.
Some places let the visiting team go over the hill.
Well, we won't make them go over the hill, but they will have to. And the bathrooms are a pretty good size in these. There's at least 3 different stations in each one. It's not a little old bitty bathroom with one commode. You know, it's built to handle a pretty good capacity. And if you think about your football field right now, your football restrooms are really 3 different, commodes in the sink area and stuff. So they're comparable to that and should be sufficient for anything that we need. If we had another $2 or $3 million, we would do that.
I was thinking about in coordination with the COVID.
Yeah. We could get an estimate. Peter and them are doing some things here for us this week in time for the board meeting next Thursday. They want a little time to pull some things together. Peter, is it easy enough to get sort of a cost estimate of what that would be for a restroom and water and sewer?
To the visitor dugout, absolutely.
Yeah. And it could be very easily added to the end away from home plate with a door right out of the dugout. So it would be
Right.
it's just a matter of what kind of cost we're talking about.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then it's all going to depend on what the cost estimates are as to what we're able to do. You all should be really excited about this addition to the current locker room at the stadium.
Yes, so this is the big building that you see sort of in the front is an addition to the existing field house down at the football field right now. And what we have been working on with Mr. Saylor is a program that would add on 3 additional locker rooms to that space, 2 smaller locker rooms that I think would be for the track and field team, or could be utilized as a visiting team if they needed locker room space as well for a football game.
And that's why we've got the doors in the middle. The doors in the middle allow you to open that up into one big locker room, like it for your visiting football team. And also soccer. Soccer will use those locker rooms in the fall, track and field in the spring. Go ahead, Peter,
Right.
sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. And then on the other side of that is a new high school football locker room with all of the ancillary spaces involved for it. All of those undercover and enclosed will have access to the weight room through the corridor. And the old high school locker room will become the middle school football locker room, which will also have access to the weight room through the corridor. And then the concession stand, we're not going to do anything with at this point. We may look at a couple of ideas about trying to make it a little larger, but we'll have to see. So that's a really exciting upgrade to the facility down there, while taking advantage of the existing building that's there.
And Peter, I would ask that you look at the concession really hard in terms
Yes.
of bringing the front of it out. And it needs to make sure that it's updated and has commercial sinks and everything that's there. Listen, we're very appreciative for the donation that paid for that building several years ago. As you all know, a favorite son of Estill County made the donation to do that, and we've not forgot that. He's a singer, everybody knows who I'm talking about, and we're very tickled to be able to add to that facility. And I really, we're very appreciative of that. And I don't know if that's always been said, but I want to say it here tonight in public meeting that that was a very generous donation, and we're being able to upgrade this facility, and it will continue to be something that we're very proud of, and we're thankful for that donation.
All right, so at the top of this board, there are just a couple of other buildings to make note of. each of the venues, the baseball and softball venue is going to have a ticket shelter that leads up to the fields. This is not an enclosed space. You can think of it kind of like maybe a larger bus stop type thing that's has 3 sides to it, but is open for people to stand in out of the weather and out of any kind of wind conditions and sell tickets as people drive up to the baseball and softball venue. And then there'll be a ticket booth around a plaza that you'll see here in just a few minutes that will help lead into the new football, soccer, and track stadium. The other piece of this that we're looking at doing is demolishing the existing greenhouse and building a new greenhouse, not far from where it is located now, but back further behind the school and away from the athletic facility. So I think that I've got all of those covered. Do we have the next slide?
Any questions, anybody?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's a few little tweaks that are being made just to some doors and some different things like that. Summer would be interested, Peter, in a bass fishing pond, but I don't know if we.
I actually have a question regarding the neighborhood at the high school.
Yeah.
I know it's been a problem about the exterior classrooms, your ag classroom, LTC. What did you all have like a plan in place for that? I know you've been trying to figure out a way for students to get there without being exposed outside. I was just curious.
Those are going to become outdoor classrooms, so the old outdoor ag building is also being torn down. So the current ag classroom is going to be the building that's under the gym. And the ROTC room will be a room that they will use at certain times, but that's not where most of their classwork is going to go. But with the relocation of the Success Academy, it's going to open up the classrooms that the Success Academy currently use. So ag and ROTC will move in that back part of that. So those students will be inside the building unless the teacher wants to take them out to that facility. So it's going to provide a greater level of security for our kids, not having to walk down the front of that building every day to get to class. They'll be able to stay indoors. So yes, that's part of the whole renovation, was being able to do that. And so we are relocating Success Academy, and they're going to be tickled, and it's going to be great for ag and ROTC as well to be inside the building.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Don't get too excited now on this stadium. So, Peter, we're ready.
Brian, sit down.
Okay, so there's a lot going on here. The big thing is we have a new 8-lane track that's surrounding a turf field that will be accommodate both football and soccer, and that's a really nice new facility there. You can see that there are grandstands included on the home side. There'll be some storage units underneath the grandstands for track equipment and other field equipment as needed. And then that's 1,500 seat bleacher with a new press box. And then the visitors bleacher on the far side will seat 500 people. There's a new scoreboard at the very end of the field there that you can see. Actually, those are field events, but just on the other side of the track, you'll see a small little scoreboard there. It's actually huge and will be really nice for the venue. There are there you go. There are 4 new tennis courts up at the top with some bleacher seating for those, and those will be lit. The football field and soccer field are also going to be lit. The 4 new tennis courts are redone. We have looked, and we've really talked a lot today and yesterday about exactly how all the parking is going to work, but we are making some space for some parking for the venue that can be used for the school when school is in. And then you can see there the dark building, and is what we just reviewed. That's the new addition to the field house there. And just to the southwest of that, you can see the new location of the greenhouse. So the field down here accommodates most all of the track events, but there are a couple of track events that will be relocated up to the practice soccer field that include shot put and discus. And we are going to be looking at doing some cleanup of the area behind the high school on the other side of the parking lot, and making that, clearing up the sight lines there and doing what we can to clean up the ditch that's back there as well. I think that the new stadium entrance, I didn't really mention that ticket booth that I mentioned. You can kind of see that standing there right in the middle of everything. It sort of makes a really nice grand entry into this facility for people that come to the football games here, and it's something that will be just amazing. It'll be a nice transformation of this space. I'll be happy to answer any questions that people may have.
Peter, if you don't care, point out the sort of like the party deck area for fans that will be right outside of the new addition.
Yeah, you can see the plaza area there, Jeremy, or whoever has their is scrolling around. Yeah, you can see the tables and chairs that are right outside the new addition, and also in front of the concession stand there. That will be a really nice gathering space. We suspect there'll be another nice gathering space for those people that are in the tailgate area up there, that possibly using, overlooking the field at the end of that parking lot. There'll be another nice gathering space to look over and see the football game if you're in that location.
Excited.
When we're trying to decide, I know that everybody is used to using this area here. This is where everybody likes to tailgate. But with the new bleachers being here in the height, you're going to have a lot of restricted views. So we felt like we could come down here and in making this a real grand entrance, you know, you sort of have the opportunity here for tailgate parking, that fans will be able to purchase a tailgating spot that will correspond to a number of tickets, and they'll have their own private area that they'll be able to set. This is all grass and trees, and it's really a nice area that they'll be able to enjoy. And we'll move the caboose up here sort of in this area, and that will still keep our caboose there. We could, and we're asking some people, we know we're changing a lot of tradition. If people would rather have this as their area, we could look at a change and move the caboose out here to the front in the entrance area. But I think you're going to have a lot more room this way. If everybody can just get past the fact this is the way we've done it forever, then this is going to be a lot nicer area that people, there's going to be a lot of space here to bring your chairs. You tailgate over here at your parking space, bring your chairs down here, watch the game. It'll be a great atmosphere, and it'll be blocked off from everybody else. So people from the stands, they can't get into that area. It's your area. You're going to pay to be able to park there and tailgate. So you don't need everybody in the world coming in on top of you. So it's really going to be a nice area. And I really like the way the parking lot's cleaned up. You can see the parking around the outside here. At the greenhouse, there'll be all the parking here. They're going to explore this parking out front, right in front of the gym, to add some additional parking, and along the building here as well. But all this will be cleaned up, and it will be, by the time we seal that back parking lot, it doesn't have to be paved. It just needs to be sealed and restriped. It needs to be reconfigured. You're going to have a beautiful facility there. And one other thing I'll say, Peter, and we'll go on to the other one. Everybody wanted to see that ditch covered up. EPA has a reg that is called what's called a blue line ditch. Is that right, Peter?
It's a blue line stream.
A blue line stream. So Clark County decided to cover up a blue line stream, and it was a $250,000 fee to cover that ditch up. And I did not feel like that was a good use of taxpayers' money to pay $250,000 just to cover the ditch. That didn't pay for it. That's just to cover it. That was the fee. It's probably another, listen, Michael didn't even come close to pricing it, but my guess is it'd been another $400,000 or $500,000. It's not worth $750,000 to fill a ditch. So
and a lot of time too. Getting those permits takes a long time.
So we just felt like that wasn't a wise use of taxpayers' money. We just promised taxpayers here in the last hearing that we would make good use of their money. That's not a good use of their money. So, but you're still gonna be proud of it. We'll put guardrail up through there, and we'll find somebody that's got the right mower equipment that can go down over there and cut that ditch out and keep it cleaned up, and it'll be a really nice facility. I don't know if anybody's got any other comments or questions.
I just have a comment. My vision's not very good, but Peter, I think I see train tracks on that turf. You know that's our dream, to have those train tracks around that.
There you
football
go.
field.
That could be an interesting idea.
We do want to look at the signage on that press box. We want people to see, be able to see from that main road. We want to be able to see that engineers on that press box. So that's something we, and we're going to put a nice press box. It's going to have the slant glass windows in it, and it's going to be a first-class facility. I'm telling you, you'll have something to be proud of. And that big flying E right in the middle is going to set it off. Yes, Sheila?
My question's regarding the lighting. Are we going to use any solar power at all?
We have not planned for any type of solar panels. Did not even really, I know we're converting everything to LED. There are some school districts that's looked at solar. Peter, what is your experience with solar in terms of any type of solar on top of the high school building or anything like that? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and for the lights around the stadium and the areas in the parking lot.
Are there solar options as well?
Are we talking about the high school building?
Yeah, in terms of like the lighting around the facility, are those, can you have solar powered lighting, or is it LED lighting that's on timers? How does that normally work? Are there solar options?
Timers is a given, right? So the LED lights with timers is a given. Solar power and using those panels to kind of generate power is still a fairly steep cost out of the gate, and it's getting better, but usually we reserve it for doing like new facilities, and most of the time we just make sure that because of the exorbitant expense at this point, we tend to just make sure that it's something that districts can do in the future. We'd be happy to look at doing that for you here, so that you would have a facility that is ready to convert at some point in the future. But I think you're talking about, and I can check with Chris Reeves and the folks at CMTA to get you a presentation on that. They do it all the time, and they're very good. And we could get you all some information on it.
Well, we would just need maybe cost versus payback. What is the payback on solar? You know, if it's 14 or 15 years for payback, then it's probably not worth the time up front. I know LED lighting right now is what, somewhere around 5 to 7?
Yes, and it's low hanging fruit, and it's gotten to be very affordable, and it is very easy to see benefits from that right away.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, softball, baseball?
One more slide of me. Sorry, you guys. It's a long one. But it is exciting stuff. This is really at least for me, it's exciting stuff. So,
Jeremy, can you make it a little bigger and let's concentrate on baseball first? Well, maybe. There you go. You're dragging it. It's happening. That's pretty good right there.
Yeah. So something that's so hard to do with these fields that are sitting so up high on the site. When you see something 2D, you can't really tell just how high they are. But there is quite a climb up to these. And at the very bottom of that hill at the road on the east side of this plan, you can see where the ticket shelter building is going to be there, providing people an opportunity to purchase tickets and head up into the venue. There'll be an access gate there. I think it was determined that we probably would need to provide a new one because we're going to be widening the drive all the way up into the venues. So the baseball field and the softball field are both getting 2 new dugouts, as well as the concession stand, restroom, press box buildings that you're seeing here on the sites. And so new dugouts, press box, and they will also be getting new backstop systems, which with the netting to protect people that are in, or watching the game and in the concession stand area.
No more chain link fence.
That is correct. So, so a lot of, other than the 3 big buildings in each venue, you can see road access is a big part of this. There are parking lots that are a big part of this as well. And getting cars, available spaces up there, and getting people close to the venues and giving them easy access to the fields is going to be a big priority for us, and something we'll be working on this week to improve from the drawing that you see here in front of you today. So I think that covers everything. Obviously, a big piece of this with getting the restrooms up there, there is a utility piece of getting sanitary run up the hill to this venue. That's also a fairly significant cost, but I think it will really be worth it to you to improve this facility. Jeff, did you want me to say, did you have something more that I would need to speak to here?
Well, one thing I would just add is that we really felt like parking was a necessary thing. I've asked them to include this in the base bid, this parking here that's here by the softball, which is going to allow some handicap accessibility for people that need it. That's what the 4 spaces back here for baseball or for handicap and people that need that. This parking lot's included, and we're asking this parking lot to be included as well, because at that point in time, we feel like that between these 3 different parking lots, you're going to be able to park somewhere around 75 to 100 cars. We're going to remove the bus parking area, and we felt like, and Peter, when we get to this area right here where Jeremy's at, I really think we need to, if we can come out this road and change the diagonals on this to where that bus doesn't have to cross traffic to make that turn. You know what I'm talking about? If we change it the other way, that we're going to cut it off right here, and we're going to bid this as an alternate, because I think it will take the price way out of range if we wouldn't be able to afford. So this is going to be bid as an alternate. But what I'm saying, Peter, is if you come up, if Jeremy will follow that arrow with my finger, that the bus would come here and go up this side. Not that side, this side right here, that it should go up that side and come around. That way it doesn't have to cross traffic.
That's a great idea, yes.
Because they're really going the wrong way, because the bus, if it goes the other way, the way they are now, they're going to have to cross traffic twice. If that was the case, and it can just loop around and go out. And what we've said is that I think our booster clubs are going to go together. They're already talking about buying a gator, to transport some of their stuff up and down the hill. So if we've got a really big game, 2 games, we can have the buses come up, drop the kids off, circle around, go back down the hill, and we can drive the driver back up the hill and just create more parking. But I really think it's important that we have enough parking. And I know that right now it's showing the home dugout on the first base side for softball. A little bit of concern about whether or not it can be on the third base side. I know that's where the coaches want it, but there might not be enough space over there. So they've really got to look at that, because if we start digging into that bank and we destabilize that bank, we've got a slide on our hands. So they're really going to have to look at that. We're going to try our best. The coaches requested to move it, but we're going to try our best to see what the situation is there. I think Peter and them will be down early next week to look it over.
Absolutely.
I can't think of anything else. Do you all have any questions? Brian, you're softball man, been involved with it, baseball.
Just grinning like a possum over here. I'm just so excited. When I hear Peter say, and I know he's dealt with a lot of building construction, and when I hear him say amazing, that just, man alive, I'm just blown away.
Peter, these are first-class facilities if we can get it within our cost range, correct?
Absolutely, yeah, they really, and you all have a nice setting for it too, sitting up high on that hill. It's going to be a nice facility.
And just know that as part of the ATC project, we are correcting all that parking down around the middle school and all that. We'll be getting some prices on that to use our contingency money. So it'll just tie right in with all that. So it'll be totally redone. I mean, it's going to be first class. I'm telling you what, people they'll be able to stick their chest out and you'll see them coming a mile away because it's going to be something that they can be proud of. And this is fulfilling a promise that was made 4 years ago that everybody kept saying, when are we going to get our field upgrades? When are we going to see this? Here it is. It's coming. Just hold on. It's coming.
Peter under budget and ahead of time.
Oh, I'm sorry, Donna, I have a hard time hearing you guys.
She said under budget and ahead of time.
Okay, I heard that one.
One thing, just so you all know, on the BG1, now that we approved what we did tonight, they're going to be revising the BG1. Realize that you cannot bond the turf. But now we've been saving for 5 years to pay for the turf. We're going to have to pay about $550,000 cash. And we have that setting there. It's in the building fund. We've had it there. We've been holding on to it. And we've got that money sitting there to use for the turf. So in reality, we can still bond about $10.5 million and pay the $550,000 for the turf, which is about $11 million project, and leave about $1 million in the building fund, which I know that's something a former board member always said. They like to at least keep $1 million in case of emergency, and we want to try to do the same thing. We've got a couple of other alternates. We did bid. We're going to bid two new baseball and softball scoreboard. Even those are new. We've had some problems with them, but we're going to bid them as an alternate. If we can afford them, we'll put them up. If we can't, we can maybe work on what we've got. So I know that Peter and them, they've worked really hard here the last few days. I'm hard on them sometimes. And I know that we're not their only customer, but it seems like they always step up to the plate.
But we're their most important customer.
We're their most important customer, Peter. You heard that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that.
We're your most important customer, and we appreciate you all. And the only thing that will hold this up is we've got to get these documents approved, get them back. We're hoping to bid this thing sometime around December. So I hope that Peter, January, somewhere in there. So we're hoping that they're in conversation with KDE, and we'll have some conversations with them, trying to let them know they know it's coming. And we've stressed to them it's important.
What's the time? Like 2 years, 3 years?
No, it would be completed probably sometime, probably about 1.5 years. If we start this spring, we're hoping that the stadium could be done maybe in time to play a few home football games next fall on the new field. That's the goal. Now, whether we can make that, Peter, but that is the goal.
Right. I think that's way down the line. The big key is getting things through Frankfurt here and making sure we get the design complete on the facility. You know, as make it as good as the promise is that it can be. So
I have every faith. I have every faith that Ross Tarrant and Codell will have it ready. It's a matter if we can get KDE moving along and get it done. But it will be finished before 2023, which is the end of my contract, as you all know. I did announce my retirement for everybody that's waiting on that. June 30th of 2023. It'll be done before then.
Mr. Say, I do have a question now that I'm thinking about it. Was there a drainage tile issue? Do you remember us talking about that?
At the football field?
Yeah.
Yes, and that drainage tile, that will be done as part of this work. It will be replaced. They're trying to figure out whether or not they're going to do a concrete encased ditch line, or now there's a lot better materials than what was used when that was covered up back in the 70s, when that field was put there and that ditch was put in. That's back before the EPA started fining everybody for covering ditches. Because that goes a long way. But yes, it will be replaced as part of it, or you wouldn't be able to put the turf over it. I can see that. I can see that football team take that field. Wouldn't it be something to see that engineer band?
Picture of my phone.
Wouldn't it be something to see that engineer
We'll hear
band
that
take that field?
band.
Hear that train?
Yeah.
I mean,
Smoke
it's,
rolling.
I mean, it's an exciting time. It really is. I'm excited about it. I'm just happy to be a small part of helping deliver it.
Thank you. We're talking about ourselves.
Sorry. Okay.
Any other questions?
Back on track here. Next on the agenda, we have to approve the 21 working budget.
Peter, thank you very much. We appreciate your time tonight, and we'll be in touch maybe Monday.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you all so much
Thank you, Peter.
for sticking with me.
No, thank you.
See ya.
See ya. I think we've got Angie on the line.
I'm here.
Hey, Angie.
Hey, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yep, we're ready to discuss the budget.
Okay. I think in your packet too, there was a little synopsis of the budget that we'll go over some of the more interesting numbers. It's kind of hard to follow Peter after all that exciting news. Our beginning balance, which is unaudited, is at $1.62 million. You'll see it there in the far right-hand column. Oh, lost my screen. Yeah.
I was bringing up the synopsis.
Okay. Okay.
I think if we go over the synopsis, then that will help explain the larger budget if they've got any questions, Angie, so we're good to go.
Okay. Okay. The local tax revenue does include the tax rates that were just passed tonight. That include property tax, intangible property tax, franchise, utility. Interest is listed there as a local revenue source, but unfortunately that's about to dry up for the moment. The next big source is state revenue, and that includes our SEEK dollars, and that is only an estimate this time. And unfortunately, we received some news this week that our Fund 2 projects will be cut by 8% probably from the state. So hopefully SEEK dollars won't get cut, and that will be a pretty firm number. But it probably will change a little bit before we end the year. It is based on our 18-19 attendance rates. The federal revenue is just Medicaid, and we're hoping to be able to expand our Medicaid reimbursement process this year.
So that's a really conservative number right now based on previous years.
It is. Indirect costs from food service are $82,000, and that's, depending on what happens with our summer feeding program and food service dollars, that may or may not be a firm number. But we're going to come back in December before the draft budget for FY22 and give you an updated version of all this, so we'll have a better feel. I will tell you, this is one of the more difficult budgets that we've done just because of all the unknowns at this point. If you move on down, I think it's on page 4, you can see I'm sorry, go back down, Jeremy.
Go back up to that, Jeremy. She's in the actual budget itself. Right there, you're good. No, you're good with the expenses.
Okay. The expenses, as you all know, are divided into different functions, and we've had some positions that are vacant because of retirements or resignations. Some of those have not been filled at this time, but you will notice that in some of the categories there's an increase, but keep in mind that all employees get rank and step raises each year. And I'm sorry, not rank and step and experience, and some people get rank changes, so that does fluctuate. All the different aspects of instruction are included, the different support functions. And do you all have any questions of what's where or why something is where it is?
Just back, Angie, to where you said the 8% cut, what was that in?
State funds.
State funds.
Yes. That's all your state grant funds, I'm sorry, which is fun too.
Yeah, the special revenue, this is this general fund that we're looking at on the synopsis, but you have a copy of Fund 2, which is special revenue, 310, which is building fund, 320, which is capital outlay, 360 is construction, 400 is the debt service, and 51 is food service. So those are all a part of our budget, but SEEK dollars are the one, or I'm sorry, general fund dollars are the ones that we really have the most flexibility with to spend, because many of those grant programs are earmarked for certain kinds of services to our students.
And just a couple of highlights within that. Know that we had 5 teacher retirements, but we did replace all those teachers. But what generally happens when you have a teacher retirement, it's almost always that somebody is retiring at the upper end of the salary schedule, and you're hiring back a new teacher somewhere in the range of $37,000. So usually it's about a $20,000 savings per person. So that $80,000 helps pay for a lot of those step increases that they have. And also remember that, as you all know, I've told you that we cut positions here at the central office. We're down 2 central office administrators as of September 30th. Those positions have not been replaced. We've tried to put the money in the classroom and in our teaching staff, and we're going to see how far we can go. And when I see Rhonda and Charlotte and Jeremy and Amanda and all of them about to walk out the door and quit or fall off the edge of a cliff, or if I have to go up the Barnes Mountain and pull one of them off the guardrail ready to jump, we may have to hire another person in the district office. But right now, we're going to try to go 2 down. And it's not going to be easy for us, but I just feel like I am very uneasy, as well as Angie said. It's a very difficult time. We'll make it this year. We're good. We're good. I'm worried about FY22 because we don't have a budget. As you know, the legislature only passed a 1-year budget. So they're coming back in January. Think about all the tax revenue and everything. We got lucky this past budget, and they actually met the revenue. And who knows, we may still do that. We may not have the cuts that we're talking about. But if we do have cuts, then we do have CARES Act money there that's going to help us somewhat. But guys, I'm telling you what, we're burning through CARES Act money right now, getting all the PPE that we need for our kids when they do return to school, having to do temperature scanners, having to figure out how we supply water to our kids during the day because you can't use water fountains. I'm going to show you here in a minute. I'm asking you to make a change to the salary schedule because we're going to hire a couple of people using CARES Act money. We need to hire 2 nurses. We need to have a nurse in every school to provide services to our kids. I think that's the least we can do in a COVID age. To do that, to free up Erica to where she can make sure that We've got to get some shot records in line and stuff that we've been deficient on a little bit. No fault of their own. It's just, there's so much of it, and getting those records in and getting proof in. We're not saying we don't have kids that don't have them. We just don't have the documentation that we need. So Erica's going to be working hard to get all those things lined out. We need to hire a custodian, a sub-custodian tonight, and I'll talk to you about that in a minute, but we'll use CARES Act money. We won't use our general fund money, but we feel really good. And in the end, when Angie's went through most of these and pointed them out, in the end, we still have our contingency, as we've said in the past. Contingency is it 1.6, Angie?
It's 1.5 in this budget.
1.5 in this budget. We did go down, of course, last year we went down to 1.5, and I've told her to hold that. We have conservatively figured our carryover, and we're waiting on our auditor. So when our auditor comes in, if we rolled additional money above and beyond what our carry forward was, it will all go back into contingency. So we expect that 1.5 number to creep towards 1.6, we hope. We feel pretty good about that as they do the AFR. So I don't know if there's anything else, Angie, you want to add, but I feel like we've got a solid budget. But now the saving measures that we're taking, the central office people, the stuff like that, we're preparing for FY22. And then if we see in the spring, if everything's okay, we can try to go back and try to address some staff needs, because we know right now that the federal government and the federal legislature, they can't get together on nothing. I don't see any more federal CARES Act money. If there is going to be, it's going to be after the election. It's not going to be before the election, because neither side is going to give the other side a win. They're not going to let anybody claim a win, so that's just politics. It's what it is. And I know one of the big pieces of legislation held up right now is the fact of liability protection for districts and organizations. It's trying to do the right thing, that if anybody wants a 100% guarantee during a COVID age, they better go home, lock their doors, and don't go anywhere. That's the only 100% guarantee you got. And so we just, we don't know what the future is going to hold as far as that, but we're making plans to where I want to make sure we're financially solvent going into next year. We don't want to sit here and be in trouble. But there's buses being paid for in this budget, just like in the past. We're going to order 2 more buses in this budget, because we actually get, on one of those buses, we're going to get 50% of it paid for through a state grant. So we're crazy not to go ahead and do it. If not, we're just going to throw $50,000 out the window. That's not very smart. So we're going to get 2 buses for basically the price of 1.5. So we'll be addressing that in the budget in January. Here's the sad part. You approve this tonight, you're going to come back in 3 months and approve the budget for FY22. And it may be a little scary at first, but we'll make the proper plans to do it. Anything else, Angie?
Remember, there's 3 buses in this budget also, so we are keeping our fleet up to date.
I think that makes 18 total in 6 years.
Right.
We don't have any 25-year-old buses on the road anymore. When I got here, I thought, those buses don't have a white top on them. That was a sure tell sign that you were driving old buses, and we had a bunch of them out there on the road. They're gone. So the goal should be, as a board and as superintendent, we should leave the school district in better shape than we found it when we got here. And if we can say that and we've done that, then we can hold our head up high. We don't always get everything right. We're going to make mistakes sometimes. But the fact of the matter is, in the long run, when you leave the place better than it was when you got here, that's all you can ask for. And you all are doing a fantastic job in terms of facilities and budget and financially. And we've got a great staff out there that cares about kids. It's working hard. So, I mean, there's a lot of good things going on in Estill County. So, anything else, Angie?
I think that's all. If you all have any questions after you review it, I'll be glad to answer them.
And what we're hoping to do in December, before the January budget, I've asked Angie, we're gonna bring this budget back after the audit to let you see exactly where we ended up. Because we've got a couple individuals retiring here in the next few days. We got some different things that's gonna be mixing in. Couple new positions tonight that I'll talk to you about, but overall, we feel really good about this budget, and, you know, that's part of my evaluation coming up, is working with the budget, and we'll talk about that down the road here in just a minute. So my recommendation is approve that budget for FY '21.
I'll make the motion to approve the budget.
Have a second. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
You can pass those to everyone. That's the facilities.
Next on the agenda, we have our consent or action items.
If you want to, I'll go through those real quick and just point out what's there. Have our normal minutes, the treasurer's report, the warrant. There's a warrant from 8/19, and we just wanted to make sure, we believe that you all got that, but I just wanted to make sure you saw it a second time. We didn't want a warrant to go by without the chance that you all did see it. Everything on there was proper expenditures. It was the way that some things come in that we were sort of late getting it out, and I wanted to ensure that it's there. It's probably more my fault than anybody's, to make sure that those was there, and I couldn't 100% say that you all had it. So I wanted to make sure it's there tonight. The FY '21 district staffing policy, Jeremy, if you could go to D. And I just wanted to show you a couple things that we've got going on here. Up in the first part of that is item number 3, and that is the programs director, and for some reason that's got corrected. It should have said federal programs director in Title I. That's probably a mistake on my part, but those two jobs have been combined. And because we do have a retirement, Miss Lisa Reese is going to retire September 30th, and we're definitely going to miss her. That makes our 4th central office person that's retired this spring or early this summer, or late this summer. And that's a lot of experience walking out the door. But we're very appreciative. They're very helpful to us. We're very appreciative of all 4 of those individuals, but Lisa's going to be leaving us. So that's the abolition of a position. When you look down to number 1 under certified instructional, certified office staff, there's nobody under there because that's where the special ed job was before. If we go on down, Jeremy, item number 6, these are classified, and I don't know, there's something missing there as well. We had, if you remember, we had made a change when it came to our finance office, that we had a payroll clerk and an accounts payable clerk, and we made both of those positions 240 days. And the payroll clerk too, of course, that's another person that's retiring. And everybody's going to miss LaDonna. LaDonna Johnson is retiring. She's done payroll here for years, and we're not going to realize how much we miss her to October 1. And I know that our other staff is, we really hate to see her go, because I don't think anybody's missed a check here for a long, long time. They've got a check on payday. And a lot of that goes to LaDonna's credit. Now, there's several people involved in that process, but LaDonna's the one that makes sure that everything's right in Munis and everything. Well, that position is being abolished. And I think what is up there is that B and C, one of them is payroll clerk, and that's the way it's listed right now. And the other one is going to be payroll director, because we're having a hard time finding somebody that is a classified person that wants to take that job. So I'm asking you tonight to approve a payroll director, which will be a person that has a 4-year degree. And we're advertising both of them that way. That person would have to have an accounting or economics degree, a general overall business degree, and that is the criteria for that. And then if we go on down, and this one's missing also, under maintenance and custodian where G's at, I'm asking you to approve a full-time custodian sub, which will be paid on 0 years experience as a custodian. It's gonna be paid for out of CARES money, so it doesn't impact your budget. And we made those, you remember last time you saw the CARES budget and approved it within your consent items. We had about $250,000 in salaries in the CARES Act. This is gonna be somewhere around 30, somewhere in that range. By the time fringe and stuff, that's about where it ends up. Then, of course, our nursing, and again, I don't know what happened to the format here. We've approved both of these jobs, but I just wanted you to know tonight that those are gonna be paid for out of CARES Act money. So neither one of those positions are part of your general fund. They'll be paid for CARES Act. So out of those 3 positions in CARES Act, we've spent about $100,000 of that 250 that we budgeted for salaries. So we know that there's some money there. Again, I hate to say it, put it back for a rainy day. We don't know what's happening in FY22. There's also some money in the CARES Act for additional hours. I'm gonna tell you right now, guys, our health services coordinator has almost worked her days already. She's earned every dollar of it. We're gonna have to look at time there. And we can pay that out of the CARES Act, not impact our general budget. Again, just because it's federal money and it's extra, I promise you, we will do everything in our power to make sure that that money's spent correctly, and we'll be good stewards of it. And I think that's it. So I'm asking you to approve those changes tonight, and we'll go back to the payroll position. Based on what direction we go, I want it in the minutes that the other position is abolished. So if we hire the director, the clerk's job is abolished. If we hire the clerk's job, the director's job is abolished. So you would approve this staffing policy with the understanding that one of the payroll jobs will be abolished based on who's hired. And that's my recommended motion to y'all. Well, it's under consent, but that's part of that consent. I also included the extended days guideline. There's some extra service things here. And Jeremy, I think if you can pull each one of those up. We've been a little guilty in the past that we've let employees, and it's not something that anybody's taking advantage of or anything, but we end up without help during the summer because people work their extended days, you know, like the summer before, and they work them during snow breaks and stuff like that. So we end up with not enough help during the summer when we really need help in some of these programs. So what I've done for a 55 extended day person like Tanya, I'm basically telling her, you have to work 15 days in July. You have to work 15 days in June. The other 25 extended days is at my discretion, and I'm going to let her do whatever. If she works 20 in July, that's fine. She can work 15, but she's got to work 15 in June. You got to work those days because we can't afford to have a director not here during the month of June. They've got to be here. And it's possible that a 240-day person can work their days and not work a day in the month of June. If they want to work every other day, there's 261 work days. So you could actually have somebody work all their days come May 31st and not even strike a lick in June. Nobody's going to do that, but we just need to set some guidelines, and that's going to become part of the salary schedule so everybody will know. And if a principal needs somebody, we'll figure out how to do it. Like in a COVID year, we're going to have to do that. The other one is the extra service pay scale. And as you know, we've been really back and forth with our PA announcer during football and basketball, and we've really been appreciative. In football, we've had several people step up to the plate. I know that Don Richardson has tried to step up to basketball and do that. And really, for the last 4 years, we've really we've been fortunate to have people step up, but we really felt like that we needed to start grooming somebody for the future. And in doing that, we felt like if we were going to ask somebody to commit to the time, that we needed to have a stipend. And if you go all the way down at the bottom in the second column, you'll see right there that we've got a public address announcer, and we just, $500, I mean, you're talking about somebody that's probably going to call 20 or 30 games. I mean, usually in a tournament time, they get $25, $30. Nobody's getting rich here, but it's somebody that that we've already hired as a volunteer. I think it's deserving that we try to make some payment for some of their time. Already have completed a couple different courses. I know that Austin Moore has, I think, already spoke to Don, and Don's going to take this person a little bit under their wing with the understanding he's going to help them a little bit and get them into the ropes in basketball and move everybody in. And then going into next year, this person will take over full-time public address announcers. So we've been really appreciative of our volunteers, but we wanted to make sure that we maybe address it long-term into the future. The next one is, real quick, is the Payroll Director's job. And there's a couple of attachments here that we put together. And since this person has a 4-year degree, we're going to pay them on the rank 4 schedule. And that's what it says in item number 6. The Payroll Director will be paid from rank 4 salary. So that means the base salary, as it showed there, was about $31,744, and that's before extended days. It's about a $40,000 job with extended days for somebody with a full business degree. And then we also added the job description that goes along with that. And you always need to approve the job description as well, and that's what we did, and that job description does say that a degree is required. And other than that, we have a Head Start utilization agreement that's got to be done here, September 1 certification. And that is your consent items and my recommended motion with the note about the staffing policy would be to approve those items.
Do we have a motion? Sheila, thank you. Do we have a second? Second. Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda, we have public comments.
Jeremy, can you pull up our comments? And I'd look through some of these. We're going to answer the first one here about in-person classes on September 28th. And of course, with the news with COVID, we know that is was the planned on date, but we've got a recommendation from Kentucky Department of Public Health, so we'll discuss that in a minute. The next question is about wearing a mask. If you protest and don't want to do it, then you need to be on edgenuity. There is no protest about wearing a mask. It is a guidance from the Kentucky Department of Education, the Department of Public Health. It is not, I guess you can protest anytime you want to, but you can't be in the building without your mask. And you're not allowed on school property if you're not in class. You can protest out on the street, I guess, if somebody wanted to, but the bottom line, we're not going to have a mask debate in Estill County. We're wearing masks if you're in school, bottom line. We're able to social distance here at the board meeting, more than 6 feet, but they've not allowed that to happen in classrooms. The new guidelines from the Kentucky Department of Public Health is it doesn't matter if you're 10 feet away. In a classroom, you're going to have a mask on. We're not going to have that debate. That's the rule. That's the guidance. That's what we're going to follow. Somebody want to know about the nickel tax? We discussed this during the public hearing. The nickel tax, when it was passed, supports building projects for a 20-year period. So could the board at some time, 20 years from now, rescind the recallable nickel? They could. That will be totally up to them at that time, but it's not something necessarily that I would think that would be considered, but that is up to a board in the future. The vegetation out back behind the high school, that was just addressed. That will be cleaned up in this renovation project. Here's a senior, and this is not just a senior, this is true for a lot of our kids that are having issues with remote instruction. And believe me, we feel for those students and we understand that this is difficult. But I do know that our teachers are there, our staff are there, and they're willing to help. All you have to do is call, speak to the principal. If you're having a hard time getting through, you can call here at the office. And Miss Isaacs is working as the DPP now. She's been trying to help students as well. Jeremy is taking calls when it comes to instructional issues, when it comes to technology. You know, he got a raise here a while back. He told me the other day he'd about give the raise back for those 65 and 70-hour weeks he's been working here the last 3 weeks. That's one thing about a 240-day central office administrator. There is no hourly rate. You're here for the duration until the job's done. And I hope people understand that. Next question was staff getting sick at school. How are we going to deal with that? Let me let everybody know that we strictly follow the guidance from the Estill County Health Department. Jeff Saylor or any of the principals make no determination in terms of who has to self-quarantine, who has to be tested. We do have guidance and documents that's been approved. Those are available on our website. If you go to our website right now and you find the COVID-19 button and it's right in the middle of that website, when you pull up that page, you can click on it and it's got guidance for transportation, facilities, employee information. It's every bit there. It's easy to find. Everybody can go to it. And it's something that, and Jeremy's pulling it up here so everybody can see it. Right there it is, COVID-19 guidance. And click on that, Jeremy. And it's got our most recent guidance on there. Everybody, athletics. We've got questions about athletics that we're going to discuss here in a minute. There's the reentry plan that did say September 28th that we're going to have to amend tonight. There's travel restrictions for employees and students. I had a meeting scheduled in Lexington on Wednesday morning. We have a travel ban. I'm not being a good model if I travel to Lexington for a meeting. So I sat in my office. The other 22 people that were at that meeting were there in person. I was in my office. If I tell our staff that they can't travel, then the superintendent's not traveling either. I can't be a good model for our school district and for our kids and our citizens if I don't do what I'm asking other people to do. Food service, gifted and talented, health services, social emotional. We're adding stuff to these every day. We're taking them down. There's technology and even down to transportation. You know, about wearing a mask on a school bus. There's no choice. There's no exception. You have to wear a mask. The only exception is a medical waiver from a doctor that's certified from a doctor. That's the only exception. So all those things are there. You can see those. Jeremy, we can hop back to the other questions. Here's one I thought, here's just, no, there's uncertainty, possibility of opening back schools, and we're going to have to talk about that. Again, students that's struggling, we know that. Edgenuity is new for some of them, we know that. We're just going to have to double down and do a better job to try to help our kids until we can get back to in-person instruction. And be patient with us. We've had a few parents mad. I've hoped that we've been able to be polite. I hope we've been able to provide good customer service. It's hard sometimes. School people are very organized. They're sometimes stuck in concrete. They got both feet right in a big pile of concrete, and they don't like to give a lot. But we're not in black and white situations anymore. We're in gray situations. We've got to be able to give here and give there and do what's best for kids. Hopefully we're getting better at that. I really like this, and look at this. I want to thank the members of the current school board and just for putting kids first. And how they're upgrading their facilities and at great educational and athletic experiences. Here's the marching band, return to the high school. There'll be plenty. It says, well, the practice field returned to the high school, and I'm pretty sure, I don't think they want to return to the high school, to be honest. They might use that back parking lot some, but they have spent a lot of money at Estill Springs, and they have done a lot of work out there, and we are working to provide additional space. The storage building at Estill Springs, they're talking about storage. The storage building at Estill Springs is a good building. It's got a bad roof on it that we're addressing as a maintenance issue. So you should see a new roof go on that building sometime here first week in October. So that new roof is going on that building, and then once the new roof is on there, we've got some material from the bus garage there. Once it's moved to the new bus garage, then we're going inside that old building. As you know, that used to be the dressing room and stuff for football, and it's the old pool house. We're going in there and we're tearing every concrete wall out of there. So we're making it into one big space. So the band is going to have plenty of storage in that area. We're going to provide space for the band there. So I really don't think they'll want to go back at one time. Something I've got to talk to Mr. Bowles about. We recently had a building inspector, and I think Mr. Moore may already spoke to him. They're ready to condemn the steps and stuff that's there at the high school. They feel like they're unsafe. The big platform, it's been there a while, so it's going to have to come down. So it's something that if I'm breaking that tonight over this meeting, I apologize, but I think that we had asked for that to be communicated. I hope it did get to them. If not, I'll talk to them here in the next few days. Was there any other questions, Jeremy?
No, sir.
That was it. And so we're going to answer some of these questions here in just a minute. I don't know. Again, we had a good public hearing. I thought that people that was here, they had genuine good questions, and I think, I hope they were satisfied with the answers they got, and I feel like they were. And good citizens that just wanted to have answers. And listen, I'm very appreciative of people that will come to a meeting. When you will come to a meeting and you will address your concerns in public and do it in the right way, listen, I have nothing but the utmost respect for those people that were here tonight. It's easy to hide on Facebook. If you're a Facebook hider, then I'm telling you, I hope that you can find a way to forgive your own self, because it's just not any way to be. There's too much that you can get questions answered. Heck, I can't lie to you. Everything that we do is public record. Finances, everything we do, it's public record. There's no hiding anything, believe me. It's not worth going to jail over. So we're going to be truthful up front with everybody, and that's just the way it is. So I appreciate people that are willing to come and look at us in the eye and treat us with respect. That's the way that it should be. And I apologize to you, board, that sometimes you have to take some of the wrath that you take. Hopefully not because of me, but sometimes it is because of me, and I apologize to each one of you that you have to listen to that sometimes. People don't understand how hard it is to be a school board member, and I'll say this real quick as we're on public. It's really hard because everybody thinks that, you know, that if they want to be on the school board, there's a lot of times people run, well, I'm going to make this change, and I'm going to make that change, and I'm going to do this. And then what they really find out, there's only a few things that school board members can do. The only time this board has any power is when we bang the gavel and start a board meeting. And right now, this board has full authority over the control of this school district, but when we bang the gavel tonight, when we adjourn, that's it. That's where the authority ends. They did some of that stuff tonight. We're going to talk about my evaluation. That's probably the #1 priority of a school board, to evaluate the superintendent, because he is or she is the chief operating officer of the school district. You better have somebody that you can trust, somebody that's going to communicate with you. I hope I do that. Second thing, you've got to pay the bills. You got to make sure that financially this school district is sound and can meet the needs of their student. And the third thing is you set policies. And you set policies for the operations of school district. And that's it. That's it. You have no authority in hiring anybody. You have no authority in setting policies for ball games. We've had board members being criticized for ball game attendance. It's outside the purview of the board to have anything to do with setting policies or setting guidelines for an athletic event. That's not a policy or procedure of the school board. So I hope everybody understands sometimes, just understand a school board member gets $150 a meeting. It's not worth the aggravation that they put up with. I appreciate you guys because you're doing it for the good of the kids. I hope that was okay to say.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have your report.
Okay. You got your KSBA membership cards. We had our regional meeting on Monday night, and I know it's short and quick, but about an hour, about 45, 50 minutes long, and really talked about some of the new metrics that we're seeing in terms of this COVID legislation. Back to school update, this is what a lot of people are wanting to know about, and as simple as I can make it, the Department of Public Health, everybody's been hollering for, we need guidance. We want guidance in terms of when school can start back instruction and what are we going to do if we get so many cases of COVID-19? What's that going to do to us and how does it impact us? Well, to tell you quite honestly, it's going to have a major impact on us. There's several different items there. Jeremy, I want you to go to that map right there to begin with. This map right here is something you can find on the KY COVID-19 website. It's the current incident rate in Kentucky. And as you can see, counties are either colored in green, yellow, orange, or red. And it's based on the number of cases per 100,000 people. Of course, Estill County has 14,000 people. So whenever we get a COVID count, the number of cases active in Estill County, we have to take that number of cases and multiply it by a multiplier. 14,000 will go into 100,000 7 times. So our multiplier is like 7.01. So when you multiply that multiplier by the number of average case, or the number of cases over 7 days, you get a number. Then you divide that by 7, well, our multiplier is 7, so you divide it by 7, so guess what? If we've had 33 cases, our index is 33. As you can see right now, we are red, 32.4. 2 weeks ago, we were 7.1. And this is, I can't make it any clearer to our public right now. The bottom line is, this is totally out of our control. Now, they can tell us it's a recommendation, and they can say that we strongly recommend that school districts follow this policy, but you and I both know if you get a strong recommendation, you better follow the recommendation. There's no way you cannot follow it. So what does that mean for us? We're red. Red means stop. And then you have this guidance, and this is the guidance document that's attached, and it says immediately if you're red, you cannot start in-person classes. Or if you are in person, you have to stop. Now, up until this point in time, guys, I have really just took this and I followed the recommendation. And I don't want to put you guys on the spot, but I think the public needs to know that we're in this together. And I do think it takes the board tonight to understand. I understand. 65% of our kids want to come back to in-person classes. 65% want to come back. But with this type of COVID rate, we're one of only about 12 states or 12 counties in the entire state that are at a critical stage. We are at a critical stage. And now more than ever, we can sit here and fight every political battle you want to fight, but if we don't start doing the things we have to do to decrease the COVID rate, we're not going to be able to go back to school. I want to go back to school next Monday on September the 28th. I want to do it. There's not a doubt. I'll guarantee you that most of our people want to go back. But the bottom line is, guys, we can't. Now, we can ignore the recommendation. And you all could do that as a board. You could say, okay, we're going to come heck or high water, we're going to go to school on September 28th. but I really don't think it's a good idea. That's not my recommendation to you. And I'll make the recommendation, and I'll stand by that recommendation until our rate comes down. We're gonna have to postpone in-person classes. And I don't think it's a good thing that we postpone them for 1 week and wait and see what it is next week. I think that our teachers and our students need some clarity in terms of what we're gonna do. Now, the COVID rate was run again today. It was 28 point something. But we also have 7 new cases today that's not been reported. So that means it's gonna go back to 30 something tomorrow. So for the unforeseeable future, I personally don't see how we can go back. And I think for clarity, my recommendation to you all is that now we remain remote learning till the end of fall break, which means that we would set the date to go back to in-person classes on October 19th. That means the first quarter of the school year is basically gone. And that's a tough pill for me to swallow, because I know that we've got kids and families hurting. We heard from some of them right here. And listen, I understand there's going to be people upset, there's going to be people mad, but they also have to understand that from a legal standpoint for this district, and Jonathan, I'm going to ask you to chime in here, the legal responsibilities for the school district, if we ignore the recommendation from the Kentucky Department of Public Health and somebody gets sick, I do believe this board is liable. Do you agree?
I think you'd have some issues there if you failed to follow the directives of the state, and I'm not sure that your insurance carrier would cover you. So I would strongly recommend that you follow the directives of the state. So
Mandy's on there too. Mandy from the health department.
And Mandy is here, and I'm going to ask Mandy to make some comments as well. Our principals are on here for the most part. So if our board members, I know that we've been in contact with them, they've sent some concerns. Some of those concerns are things, and I probably needed to do a better job communicating with our principals. We had answers to most of the questions that you all received, but I had purposely not really tried to burden our principals with the details of coming back until we knew we were coming back, because really right now, they need to be focused on one thing and one thing only: delivering instruction to our kids, answering questions, and doing the things they need to do to help our kids and families. I mean, we've got kids we've not found yet. 4 weeks into school, we still don't know where they're at. Tanya's doing home visits. The SRO's doing home visits. We're trying to locate kids, trying to meet their needs. So they don't need to be bogged down with details to back to school stuff until we know that we're there at that point.
Mr. Saylor, I'd also like to express thanks to our schools. They're doing home visits too every day. I mean, teachers, principal, everybody is trying to do the best we can.
And I hope everybody knows that. And listen, I understand there's frustration out there, but just be patient with us. You call us, you tell us what your concern is, we'll try to get you help. The one thing we can't do, is go against recommendations. We're not going to make a political statement. We're a school system. These school board members right here are nonpartisan. They're not Republican, they're not Democrat when they sit here on this stage. They're nonpartisan. We're here to do what's best for kids. Mandy, if you don't care, I've asked the health department to join us, and she's got just a few things that she would like to tell us as well.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just first of all want to say thank you to Mr. Saylor, to Erica for all the hard work that you guys have put in, and to all of the school members, the staff members and everything. You guys have all worked super hard. We've been able to do the walkthroughs through the school. The plans look wonderful for every school. Everybody's done a great job putting it all together. However, with all that being said, we still have to follow the guidelines of what the state is setting out there. And so the recommendations from the health department is to follow the COVID-19 mode of instructions matrix developed by the Kentucky Department of Public Health and the Kentucky Department of Education when we determine whether or not to hold in-person or remote learning education. We realize that all the students want to be back in school, parents want their kids to be back in school, but in order to make this happen, we've got to do a lot of things as a community as a whole. So for students to get back into school in person, it's going to be a lot of, everybody's going to have to start wearing their masks. They're going to have to start washing their hands. They're going to have to start social distancing the way that we've all been, told to do. And people are getting away from that. I think everybody's getting so tired of hearing about COVID, and they're just kind of getting relaxed, and our numbers are going up more and more. So in order to get the kids back in school, is we as a whole, as a community, are going to have to step up and all do our part, or we're not going to see these numbers go down. And we're seeing more and more come through the health department every day. I don't see them coming down anytime soon. So we're going to have to really start working to make things better, and it's going to take all of us. So I understand, again, parents are not happy. They want their kids in school. Kids want to be back in school, and we get that. But we got to think about the public as a whole. And this is what we have to do to keep all of our students and our staff, our families all safe.
And guys, just a prime example, I was in one of our local stores, convenience stores, the other morning, and there's not two better people in this country than the store I'm in. I won't give any shout outs here. I'm not here to give an advertisement, but here's one of them that's been jumped onto that morning because somebody comes in without a mask and decides to jump onto this lady. There's not a sweeter person on the face of this earth, and there is no reason for that to be happening. There is just no reason. I don't care. I don't see it. I never thought I would see that something like this right here could become such a political statement. And shame, it's a shame. It really is. It's a shame that it's got to that point. I mean, if we can't love our neighbor, if we can't do what we need to do to protect each other, and if you're not concerned about yourself, be concerned about somebody else. And and Mandy can tell you, we've got situations right now. Listen, our kids, if they want to go back to school, they're going to have to start being more responsible, some of them are. We've got right now a number of students, we've got several that are positive, and we have to start reporting those numbers Monday morning in terms of the number of students. It doesn't matter if we're in school. If we're remote, or if we're in class in person, we have to report those numbers. We have to report staff people. And because of some of the contact tracing that Mandy and them have done, listen, we've got multiple double-digit kids right now that are in quarantine because they've been at parties, they've been riding around in a car together, they've been doing things that are unsafe. And the fact of the matter is, hopefully, we would never have to deal with a student that would get this and get sick and, Lord forbid, pass away because of COVID-19. That's not the normal. It has happened. Mandy can tell you that. We got Donna here, and Donna sees it every day. We have seen kids that have gotten sick and kids that have passed away due to COVID-19, but that's not in general. But the problem is that over 40% of our kids live with a grandparent. 40% of our kids live with a grandparent, either one or two grandparents, and they're taking that home. We had a gentleman the other day in our office that was taking care of a 4-year-old. Him and his wife were both 70 years old. None of us signed up for that. They didn't sign up for that. But as grandparents, what choice do they have? They're having to step up to the plate and do the job. So probably after raising a family, here they are, 70-year-old. Can you imagine? I can't even think about it. Listen, I think I'd go crawl in a hole tonight if I knew I had to take care of a 4-year-old. And I'm a lot younger than that. That's the people we got to worry about. Lord forbid, take it home on your grandmother, take it home on an elderly father or an elderly mother. We've got to start thinking about others. And it's very simple. Love your neighbor. It's very simple. You don't have to be religious to say love your neighbor. And we've got to do that. I'm telling you, if we want to. And the kicker's going to be the next one, guys, is athletics. On this sheet, and Mandy's still with us, and on this sheet, it says, you go red, athletics is over with. So we're supposed to check the chart tonight. I think our number dropped a little bit tonight, Mandy, but it's still red. It's 28.
Yeah, we did go down a little bit, and I've been working on getting some more put in that we talked about earlier today, that hasn't been on there yet, but it did go back down a little bit today, but it changes every day. You know, we got several new cases in after we spoke with you this morning, so just getting those in and trying to get it all going. But, you know, if we all want to get back into school and we want to get back to extracurricular activities, we as a community's got to step up. We have to step up as a whole, and we all have to do our part, because otherwise these numbers are going to continue to climb and school's going to continue to be held off until we do.
And, you know, based on this guidance right here, as of Saturday night at 12 p.m., all athletics at Estill County High School suspended for 7 days. We cannot play games. We cannot practice. We are going to waive. We do have a golf team that is playing Sunday, Saturday, Sunday. Golf has always sort of been an exception because of the fact they can social distance on a golf course. It's for all state honor points on Sunday. If we don't allow them to play, then those kids could lose out on all state honors. Next Saturday is their regional golf competition. And what we're going to do is we're going to monitor numbers throughout the week, and next Thursday we'll look again. And we talked a little bit today that if we can show a positive downturn in the numbers, even if we don't get back to orange, you know, we're going to consider letting the golf team play next Saturday. But now I can tell you our football game tomorrow night with Lynn Camp is still on, but now our football game next Friday night with Rockcastle has been canceled. And we're looking to try to reschedule it. If we can't reschedule it, it is a forfeit. It's a district game, but there's not a thing we can do about it. Hopefully Rockcastle will work with us. We're asking them to even the possibility of playing on a Sunday afternoon if numbers are better next Thursday. But the problem is the cat's done out of the bag for this week. COVID numbers lag anywhere from 10 to 14 days, correct, Mandy? Just so you know, and I know sometimes Donna's sitting right here, but we need to sometimes, you know, people, she's on the board and thinks that maybe they're towing the line because they're board members here. You're an outside the board. COVID numbers lag 10 to 14 days, correct?
Yes.
So here we are. What you do this week is going to make a difference 2 weeks from now. The cat's probably pretty much out of the bag for next week on where we're at. So that's why Mandy's saying it's important that we've got to take measures now to be where we can be 2 weeks from now so we can go back to school. If everybody would start working right now, if everybody'd wear a mask, if you'd wash your hands, practice social distancing, do the things that we're asked to do, this is going to work. And forget about Team Kentucky, forget about all that stuff. Let's talk about Team Estill. Let's talk about Team Estill County. Are we going to do it for ourselves? Because we're sitting right here. The other day in the paper or in an article that I read from the CDC, the most dangerous activity you can do right now is go to dinner in a restaurant. It's the most dangerous activity you can do. And that was a CDC article published this week. And I'm not telling you not to go, but if you do show up at a restaurant and it's jam-packed full, I probably would turn around and leave. And so, I mean, I know that we have freedom, but guys, it's a pandemic. It is a pandemic, and we've got to treat it as such. Mandy, I'm going to leave any last comments that you've got here to this, and we appreciate you being here.
You know, it's really hard to kind of explain what we deal with here at the health department, but part of a lot of the reason why this is spreading is we're seeing here in the last couple of weeks when we're doing our contact tracing, we're calling these people and they're not wanting to give up the names of their friends or their family. They're not wanting to tell us who they've been around or who they've been in contact with. And if we don't know those names, we can't reach out and call those people. And so what we're finding is that people are calling us saying, hey, you know, I've been around this person. Nobody's called us and told us about it. They're not wanting to tell us anything about them. And then those are potential people who are out exposing other people without even knowing that they've been around a positive case. So if we don't all step up as a community, as a whole, and be honest with our surroundings, be honest with the people we've been around, let us do our job, let us do our contact tracing, quarantine when we're supposed to. We've all got to do it together or these numbers are not going to change. Trying to hide your family and your friends or who you've been around because you don't want them to have to quarantine, you don't want somebody to be mad at you, that's just not going to get it as a whole. We've all got to step up and we've all got to do our part.
Manny, I appreciate it. I know, Donna, you deal with it every day as well, and I know that you've seen the same things. I don't know if you or anybody else has a comment here before we take some votes here that we're going to need to take. Thank you, Summer.
I'll introduce myself too in case anybody doesn't know that's watching from home. I'm Summer Evans and I'm the student representative on the school board. I feel like part of my job is letting people like yourselves know student feedback, and I've heard a lot of it. I've had a lot of messages come to me about the struggle that it's been doing the virtual learning and a lot of concerns about going back to school. Before I go into any of that, I just want to say a big thank you to all the teachers and the staff and the school board for keeping students like myself in mind. And I think we all know that past the school day, these teachers are at home emailing us and helping us, and I can't tell you how many people have helped me past school hours that I've needed help with schoolwork. I'm a senior, and as you can imagine, I'd much rather be at school right now along with most of my class, but we're just taking it a day at a time. I have got a lot of people coming to me that are seniors about why they can't graduate early. I've got that question a lot. Asking about if there was any way this didn't resolve by the spring, if we could get that wrapped up, if there was any way credits would line up for us to get a head start at college. I know that's something that doesn't necessarily want to be talked about at all. It breaks my heart knowing that we're missing part of our high school experience, but it's part of it. I just figured I'd ask you all that and where they can hear about if that would be a possibility or not. So, sorry, it's echoing, it sounds all funny, but.
No, I do know, and some of you may want to mute again. And then if you need to say anything, I do know that there are some board policies on graduation requirements and in terms of graduation, number of semesters and things along that line. The board does have the ability to grant some. I need to unmute myself now. The board does have graduation policies, and there are the ability of the board, for instance, to waive some of those graduation requirements. There's a 4-year, 8-semester rule in terms of graduation, but there are some guidelines for early graduation. Our goal is that we don't have students that's going to need to seek early graduation. We want to hopefully get everybody following the rules and doing what they need to. Then we need to get back to in-person instruction where we have kids that can go to ball games and enjoy homecoming, enjoy the prom, enjoy perhaps senior trip if at all possible, or some type of trip, and then to have a graduation. What we don't want to have happen is end up like we did last year with no graduation and something like that. And again, I think as you've heard everybody say here today, I think this is really on our students to step up and start doing the right thing. You know, we can protect our athletes while they're at practice. If a football player comes to practice and they take their temperature and they do those things, while they're at practice, they social distance and they do those things, they're protected. But when they leave there, if they get in a car and they go somewhere, or they go out here in a field somewhere and park in a circle, which we know is happening. We've got kids that's meeting up, they're parking in a big circle, getting inside the cars, and they're having big powwows. Nobody wearing a mask, and there's consequences to actions. That's plain and simple. There's consequences to action. And my heart breaks for you all. This board, their heart breaks for them. We don't want somebody to have to graduate early and leave their high school experience. That's not the case. This pandemic and COVID-19 is probably as cruel as anything that I've ever dealt with in 58 years. I mean, listen, and we've seen a lot of stuff over that time. If you're old as I am, you've seen a lot of stuff. We went through the SARS deal. We went through 9/11. We've seen a lot of disasters that are just unimaginable. If you've been following the wildfires that's out west, and whole towns gone. Towns with 7,500 people, not a single house standing. And those people have nowhere to go, and guess what? COVID is starting to just have an absolute impact on them because they're crammed into shelters and they're crammed into motels and they're not able to social distance and follow guidelines, and it's because of the situation they're in. And what's sad is those kids that are trying to do the right thing, we've got a few kids that's taking it away from them. And I'm just begging, listen, I'm not mad at nobody. I'm not pointing fingers at any child. I'm not pointing fingers at any parent. I'm not pointing fingers at any person out here. You don't have a child. You don't have a kid in school. You don't have anybody living at home with you. I'm just asking you, please, for people like Summer and for our seniors that want to have a senior year, please, we have to start following the guidelines. It's not a political fight. You fight political fights on Election Day in November. Go vote. Go vote for whoever you want to. Do whatever you want to do. Support whoever you want to support. But wearing a mask, I don't get it. I just don't get it. Doing the things that we need to do. And I'm on a hush. I mean, listen, Summer said it. If you can't listen to what that young lady just said, if you can't listen to her, and I'm going to put it on the website, we're going to cut it out. We're going to cut Mandy's out as well. We're going to post it to the website, and we're going to post it to Facebook, and we want people to know. We're begging you, please, do what's right here. Because I'm telling you, when we get this guidance, you heard our attorney, we don't have a choice. We don't have a choice. Yes, ma'am.
When we go on the football field, our players have what on their heads? Helmets, to protect them from the collisions they're going to have with other players. They can see those players coming. This virus, we cannot see it coming.
No.
And this is our protection against it. It's not a hoax. It's real. We have professionals that have told us that. And we have people in our community that have it, or carriers, or test positive, whichever.
It's in our nursing home.
Our nursing home is a prime example. Those people, some of them don't even know what they have.
We got over 20 cases right now in our nursing home with patients
if
and
you care about your fellow
workers.
humans, your community, and especially your children, please do what you need to do. And that's wear a mask, social distance, wash your hands or wear gloves like I do. It's largely said. It's not a whole lot to ask.
I agree. Anybody else?
I apologize for being a mess, by the way, but if there's any seniors watching, just know that I'm right along there with you. I'm struggling too. You know, it's definitely been an adjustment. I'm trying to learn a foreign language right now, which thank you, Ms. Roberts, for helping me, but it's difficult to do from home. And just know that I'm always here. Message me anytime, call me, text me. If you ever need anything, let me know. Just know you're not alone in this, and let me know if you need anything. And you'll stay safe.
Thank you, Summer. Well said. Guys, I'm on. Yeah, I'll clap for her. I tell you what,
I want her for my daughter-in-law.
Well, with that being said, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to make a recommendation on item number D, and that's back to school update. We're ready to go. You heard Mandy say our schools are ready to go. They're sitting there. They're marked. We've got plans in place. We're ready to welcome our kids back. Our community has to decide they want our kids back. That's what it boils down to. Our community has to decide. Listen, there's going to be some mistakes made. Some of you, no matter what you do, you may come in contact with this and get this disease. But if you get it because you're not taking the extra precautions, then I don't know what to say. And listen.
Mr. Saylor?
Yes, ma'am.
We can't hear you. You're muted.
Okay. I'm sorry. I just said that basically I'm asking the community to step up, because if this board can only do what we can do within the power that we're given, we have to protect our kids, we have to protect our staff. And listen, we've had a few issues with our staff. We've had, I believe, as of now, 4 people that have tested positive over the last 4 weeks. We've actually made it through this week, knock on wood, without a staff member. We've learned some lessons. And I think the thing I said earlier was, if you get this because you come in contact with it and you've done everything that you can do to protect yourself, that can happen. But it's when you are blatant, you don't follow rules, you don't follow the policies, and then you get this disease, and then you don't want to give up people you've been with, and you cause contact tracers not to be able to do what they need to do. Listen, we're just in a bad way. I'm begging you, please, for our seniors, for all of our kids that need to get back, I'm begging you to please follow the rules. But my recommendation is that we delay in-person classes until October 19th, which gives us 3.5 weeks to get this under control so that we can go back to school. And that's my recommendation to the board.
Do I have a motion? Sheila, thank you. Do I have a second? Thanks, Jenny Jo. Any discussion? I guess I would just like to say, I mean, as a parent and as a school board member, you know, this is a very, very hard, I mean, I don't know, it's one of the hardest decisions we'll probably have to make. And I know I have not had a personal phone call, but I have heard a lot of parents that are just so eager to send their kids back to school. And no one wants to go back any more than mine. Mine want to go back too. So I totally understand. But I guess I have personally experienced it. My mother has been COVID, and my daughter that's in college has experienced it. So I know that it's real. I quarantined for 2 weeks. I mentally thought I was going to die. It was hard. But it, like Mr. Saylor and Mandy and all these people are saying, if you care about your fellow human and your neighbor, it's simple. It's real simple what to do. And you can think about yourself, and that's, you know, I guess that's really selfish, you know, if you don't want to do the things to protect others. But I want you to know, and I'm not speaking on behalf of the whole board, but as the chairman of the board, this is probably one of the hardest decisions. But at the end of the day, as a chairman of the board, I cannot vote in good conscience and have it on my shoulders as a healthcare professional, as a mother, and as the chairman of the board to put any child at risk. I personally cannot do that. And I love each of these children and want to see every one of them to advance and go far. And I want these seniors to have a wonderful year and get to go back to school. But I think what Mr. Saylor and your recommendation is the best interest of our children. So I just wanted to make that comment. It's not an easy decision, but I do respect however each of us vote.
And we don't take it lightly. As Rhonda shared, we've had multiple conversations throughout the week about what to do, what ifs, what not ifs. And, you know, we all want what's best for our kids and for our staff.
And for our community as a whole.
And for our community as a whole. I have a senior also. And we have sports, we have all of these things that we all want to do.
Any other comments or discussion before we vote?
I think all you can say is, you didn't listen to this young lady, something bad wrong with you. So.
Exactly.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
From the mouth of babes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Really good.
That's right.
when you said it could.
I've been in the school business now, I think this makes 36 years. That's the hardest vote I've ever seen a board have to take. And I appreciate y'all for doing the right thing, and anybody can be critical of that vote, and I don't know. I hope they can get on their knees and ask for forgiveness tonight, because there's nothing else that you all could do. KHSAA athletic guidance, I'm not going to put this one on you all. This is all part of that matrix. If we can't go back to school right now and we're in the red, the matrix clearly says that if we get the red, then we cannot have athletic competition. As you know, I've sat on the KHSAA board. I've sat on that board as an advisory member. I was in a meeting yesterday. I'm glad that things went good the first week, or seems to go good the first week. We're getting ready to have our second week. The fact of the matter is, there's a lot of school districts at places, a majority of people are doing it right. I think we were doing it right. We did have some people, we set some guidelines the other day. I'll let everybody know right now, the board had nothing to do with setting attendance guidelines for our events. We had the option, we was told to phase in, to have a 3-phase plan for allowing fans to attend ball games. That was under KHSAA guidance. It's on there. We'll make all of these documents public tomorrow. Felicia will mark them. Anybody can get on there and see them. Go to our website. You'll be able to log in. You can see the documents. It's there. But the KHSAA guidance said you phase it in. There's a lot of school districts that allowed no fans, no parents, nobody. I didn't feel like that was a good, wise thing. I felt like our parents needed to come. We asked our parents, and a majority of them followed the rules. You could buy 4 tickets as long as it was family members. And we had people show up that wasn't family members, that
Says theirs is barbecue.
that did not follow the policy. And I mean, it's sad. We didn't turn anybody away. We don't want to fight at the gate. But even something that simple, they didn't follow. And so the bottom line tomorrow night, it is supposed to be family only again. And everybody's asked why have the cheerleaders not been able to participate. That was part of a phased-in plan. I'm not going to say cheerleaders are non-essential. I don't believe that. I think cheerleaders, and the commissioner didn't say that either. For everybody that's out there blasting him, that's not his comment. If you see the whole comment, his point is that the cheerleading season starts sometime here later in the winter, and they get to have their season later on. And the whole idea right now is behind trying to let football players have a season. And hopefully basketball players can have a season and cheerleaders can have theirs. I'm sure that if he thought about maybe the word choice, but anybody that listened to what he said, he didn't say that cheerleaders weren't important. That was never said. And nobody believes that. If you believe that, then you've got other issues. The band has not participated because, quite frankly, the band's not been ready. The band could not even practice as a whole group, guys. They're having to practice 10 at a time. They're having to practice in groups of 10. And we just have relaxed that a little bit. The band is trying to get ready to perform. They wanted to perform the Rockcastle game. But now I don't know that there is no Rockcastle game next week, at least on Friday night. So, and we had made arrangements for them to come as well. But as you know, right now, we've had a problem within our cheer squad. And I'm not blaming anybody, pointing fingers, but our cheerleading squad right now is under quarantine. They can't practice, can't participate anyway. And that's part of the guidelines. It's all part of the KHSAA guidelines. So I want everybody to know this board had no decision-making authority in that. It was myself, Austin Moore, our new athletic director, who, by the way, is doing a fantastic job, Ruth and Blake, who is the high school and middle school AD, and Andrea and Josh, our middle school and high school principal. We have made those decisions in terms of attendance, and we're trying to enforce them. And we had a guy the other night show up from Madison Model that made a rear end out of himself, that refused to wear a mask, wanted to wear an eye cover. And then when he was questioned about it, he put his mask on his shoulder and said, "I'm wearing it." And we couldn't get, at the time, police was not able to respond, but we called the police. We were gonna have them taken out of the place. That's the kind of ignorance that I'm talking about. And listen, the gentleman's fine. And a matter of fact, if I'm being told it's the right person, I may have coached this person at one time. Okay? And I'll tell them right now, that's not the person I know. If I was told that, that's not the person I know from my former day. And I think it's a shame that a former player that I had anything to do with would do something like that. And I'll call them out right here, tape it, send it to them as far as I'm concerned. That's the way I feel. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed as a coach and as a teacher and a mentor for that young man that he would act that way. But there it is, it's said. Somebody needs to pray for him.
Exactly.
But in terms of athletic guidance, what we have talked with the health department is, if we can show a significant decline, we may not get back to orange, but if we can show a decline by next Thursday, we're going to try to play the following week if we can. We've got regional golf. It's another district football game. The guidance says no athletics in terms of red. I spoke to Commissioner Tackett yesterday. They backed off that a little bit, but we're going to have to show significant progress over the next week. If we're still in the 30s next Thursday, I can tell you right now, we will be out another week of ball games. And it won't take long for them to add up in terms of what it's going to do to our seasons.
I think it's much easier to go up than it is to bring yourself back down.
That's right. And the guideline says you have to get back to yellow. We're being told now that they're backing off of that a little bit. If you're showing progress and the numbers coming down, you can't ask for a waiver to go back. And that's what we're going to be doing if you're showing progress towards going down. But I'm going to tell you this, I'm going to work with our health department. And I have to have them at least feel good about what we're proposing to do with that. So I just want everybody to know what that athletic guidance is. Please follow the rules tomorrow night. If you're not a family member, don't show up with that family. Don't catch Austin with his back turned or Mr. Yost with his back turned and go over and sit with another family. It's divided. It's set into pods. Everybody can sit in their pod. Stay with your family. There is no herd mentality with this, and all that stuff. That's not working. It's not worked anywhere they've tried it so far. The bottom line is you're going to get it if you come in contact with it, and you're going to take the chance of somebody dying, period. So please, I'm asking everybody, our fans, do what's right tomorrow night. I think the game is being streamed live, so you'll have the ability to watch the game. Student athletic COVID-19 testing guidelines, I'm going to ask you all to look at those documents because as part of the KHSAA guidance, it says that we should test a number of our athletes have a testing protocol. Our testing protocol, we proposed this, we thought that, hey, parents would be on board. Well, guess what? We had parents that started fussing and griping and didn't want their kids tested. So I am going to ask you all, next Thursday night, that's going to be one of the items on your agenda. I'm going to ask you to read this guidance. We're going to put it back on the agenda. I'm not asking you to vote tonight, but I don't think what we're asking is ridiculous. The bottom line is we can only be with your child for the 2 hours that they come to practice or the 3 or 4 hours we're with them at a game. After that, it's your responsibility. And they need to social distance and do the things they need to do while they're not participating in sports. So we've been asked to test, and that's part of the guidance. Now, we can thumb our nose at it, but I think, and Jonathan and I have had this conversation as well, and Jonathan can chime in on this, but as superintendent, this is, in a sense, an emergency. It's a health risk for our students, and I think we have the full authority as the board, and I as superintendent, I don't even think it takes board action, Jonathan, and you correct me if I'm wrong, because the board has approved the policy that this would fall under. Am I correct?
I believe it is correct.
And so as superintendent, I'll take the full responsibility for that, but I do want you all to know, I'm going to ask for you all a nod next week. You're okay. If you just feel like it's wrong, we don't need to do it. then of course you have that prerogative. I'm not going to ask you to vote, but I don't think it's a big ask. And I'll tell you this right now, the band, when Mr. Bowles found out we were going to do this, he said, I want my band tested. He said, I expect them to do what's right when they're not at band practice. And he said, I don't care. He said, I want them tested. So we're ready to go. And I mean, it's not going to make a difference if we wait a week, but our goal is that if you all are okay with this next Thursday night, the following Monday, if we're able to go back, we're going to test 25% of our, no, it's not 25%, it's 20%. We're going to test 20% of our athletes in each sport, including the band. And when winter sports comes on, that means the same for them. Our athletes, if they want to participate, they're going to have to follow guidelines outside of practice. And all it takes, if one of them tests positive, whole team's out for 14 days. There is no contact tracing. You can't contact trace a football player. If your quarterback gets COVID-19, everybody on the team's got a chance of getting it. That's just bottom line. If one of you soccer players get it, everybody's got a chance of getting it. So that's automatic. That's in the KHSAA guidance, guys. We don't have a choice in that. So we're going to follow that guidance. And I'll go on live streaming and FHS. We had spoke to Wallingford Broadcasting. We brought up the NFHS contract several weeks ago, and out of respect for Wallingford Broadcasting and what they have done for our sports programs over the years, we met with Kelly Wallingford, and we met with them several times. And we had made an agreement here several weeks ago, and I had sent him an email asking him about the agreement that we had agreed on. And this is the email that I got back from him this week. I think it was Tuesday. I don't know the date, Jeremy, if you can go down. September 16th. It was Wednesday, actually, so it was yesterday. And after they have looked into this, they are not going to be able to provide the live stream broadcast that we've talked about before. And so I guess the board has a decision to make here in terms of what we want to do. The NFHS offer is still on the table, that the NFHS will offer free cameras that will film our games. We showed that, 3 months ago now, I think, at a board meeting. You actually saw an actual volleyball game live that was being broadcast over the NFHS network. There is a paywall that's involved with this. And I know that some people were used to getting things for free. But I will say this, and I know that some people's going to say, well, this is a money grab, and that's okay, but I think I told you all that night, I think it's something like almost $1,000 to put a football player on the field on Friday night. By the time you pay for a helmet, you pay for shoulder pads, you pay for a uniform, you pay for all the things that it takes, it's $100. A good basketball uniform and put a kid on a basketball floor on a Friday night, it's close to $150, $200 for that basketball player. I mean, sports are not cheap. And I've said it forever, and I'll say it again. I understand if people's been getting something for free, but I do not think it's fair that our parents have to come to a game and pay an admission to get in to watch their game, and other people can sit at home and watch it for free and not have to pay something. And it's not unreasonable what the cost is. I think it's $70 for a year-long season pass, and you can watch every game that's streamed on there, not just our games. You can watch other games throughout the state. I've got a report that I will share with you, if you'll remind me, Felicia, of all the schools that's taken advantage of this within the past 2 months, 3 months. The offer's still out there. I want you all to think about that. And listen, you're going to get some people that's going to say, I don't think it's fair, I have to pay for it. Listen, you can still get the game on radio. I don't know if Kelly wants to continue to do radio. If he does, then we'll be glad to let him do it. If he doesn't want to do it, we can look for other options. But We'll have radio broadcasts of our games, but everybody will have the opportunity to see our games online if you've got internet. And as we move forward, I want you all to be thinking about, is that something you want to do? Because I do think it is revenue that goes. It doesn't go to pay the coach. It doesn't go to pay the principal. It doesn't go to me. It doesn't go to anybody. Any money raised through that project goes straight to the kids and to those athletic teams. So I want you to know that's coming back at you. And I'll have a list of the schools that have signed up. You get 2 cameras for $5,000. I believe it is. It's $5,000 worth of free cameras. And yes, it is going to require fans to start paying. You can pay one game. If you don't want to do the whole thing, you can pay $10 and watch everything for an entire week if you choose to do that. So it's pretty straightforward. Yes, again, full, open, nothing hid. There will be a fee to watch them if you want to watch them. So that's what you've got to consider. But I do think it's revenue that our kids need desperately in these times. And especially it'd be nice right now that our games are streamed when people can't go watch them.
Is there a representative from this place that could come and talk to us?
Do they have, Jeremy, I don't know, do they have a local representative here in Kentucky that we can get a hold of?
No, they've had webinars and everything about their service. It's nationwide. You're not just.
I was just curious.
I'll tell you who I can get, I believe, and I think he'd do it. Commissioner Tackett sits on that board for an NFHS network. And yes, it's true. Some of the things that Kelly discussed with us, yes, the KHSAA does get royalty rights for Kentucky high school athletics. I mean, it's not a huge check, but there is a royalty that goes to the High School Athletics Association, not part of the $70 fee, not part of the $10 fee. There's advertising and things that go into that come back, because what happens is all of the KHSAA championships are streamed live. So the KHSAA is getting the money for those championships. That's how they're earning their money. Commissioner Tackett, I think he would give you 10 or 15 minutes. Next Thursday night, if you'd like for me to see if he could talk to you and let you know. Is that good? Mm-hmm. I can get him, and he can zoom in to us if we need to. I don't know that he will travel, because
Well, I don't think that's not necessary.
Zoom in with us.
there are medical concerns within his immediate family. So I wouldn't expect them to travel
We
to a
wouldn't want
red
him to
county.
come to a red zone anyway.
Yeah. So, but I think he will join us with Zoom, and I'll ask him to do so. And then the only other thing is my growth plan. You all told me to present you a growth plan in standards 5 and 7. This is the timeline on doing so. And it's for standard 5, managerial leadership, and standard 7, which is influential leadership. These are the standards that I told you that I would work on, and I should have probably labeled these by the standard letter, and I'll correct that. And Felicia, I'll ask you again to make a note that I correct that and put the exact letters there, because it's not A, B, C, D. There's like 8 standards within standard 5. I'll give you the correct letters, okay, on that. But what happened is the computer corrected all that and put them in order. But you can see monitor the budget, district facility planning, technology, and right now technology needs are big, and we've got to continue to monitor to make sure Jeremy and Andrew have the help that they need. An effective communication system, and I think that's something that we've came 1,000 miles on. That doesn't mean we can't improve. And then, of course, the safety and emergency plans that our schools have. Mr. Willis has taken over that position as the contact for school safety. And Mr. Willis is also working with facilities as well as transportation. Standard 7 is influential leadership, and it's working with KDE and the legislative branch. We've got to secure operational funding for the ATC. We have funding to hire a principal this spring. I've already spoke to them. I'll be having a meeting here with them hopefully in the next few days, and I'll tell you why. And then active participant in the legislative process, and I will be active during the legislative session. It's going to be probably the busiest and most critical legislative session we've had in a long time for education. So I sort of give you some other things here that just in the fact that it's going to be a challenging year, but FY22 is even more challenging. The ATC, man, what a great job they're doing there, and that thing's going to be available. And then just post-pandemic, we've got to be ready post-pandemic when we're past this. And so those are the things that I have, and I'll correct that for you and just get a copy of it back to you. And there's the standards. It's just a copy of the standards that you have there. Yeah, I thought it rotates on its own, but you can sort of rotate it around.
We're all sideways by this time.
Yeah, you can turn around that way. I knew tonight was going to be a long meeting. There's some difficult stuff with it. I do want to real quick inform the board. I'm through with that, but just to let you know also that I've told you all that I've had a medical condition now that I've been dealing with for over a year, and I am scheduled to take care of that on October 28th. I will probably be out for a good 9 days. I hope to return the week after election day. Hope to return that week. That gives me about 10 days. That may be a little bit, I guess, too optimistic, but that's my hope, at least to return somewhat. As you all know, I do have 21 non-contract days that I'll take non-contract days during that time. And if I do need to use any of the vacation leave that you all bless me with, I'll use that as well. But I'll make sure that I'll still complete my 240-day contract. If I do require additional time, I will take vacation days. But you're in capable hands with Tanya during that time. I'm only a phone call away. That first few days, I might not be a phone call away. I figured I may be somewhere chasing Peter Rabbit down a hole somewhere. But it'll be good, and I'm a little hesitant, but I'm going to go ahead and do that. But I want to let you all know that's coming up here in about a month. But hopefully we get our kids back in school and get all that done before I have to do that. And if it becomes the best thing that needs to happen, if I have to cancel, I'll cancel again if that's what's best. I hope that it doesn't come to that. I'd like to go ahead and finish. So that's it for Superintendent's report, guys.
Thank you. Anything from the board?
We appreciate everyone's hard work, Mr. Saylor. We know you've been under a lot of pressure, and all of our staff. And we appreciate everything that you're doing.
Well, we just hope we're making the right decisions, and we just have to realize that there's things in life that we can't control. We can control the spread of COVID-19. That's something we can control if everybody will get on board. Jonathan's on here as well. I don't know if Jonathan's got any last comments or anything, and I know the rest of the board. Jonathan, anything else you'd like to add?
Not really, other than I know it's a difficult decision, and you're making decisions based on what you think is in the best interest of the kids that you serve, and families. And it's something that every district in Kentucky, several districts across the nation are dealing with right now. You're not alone.
Okay, I need a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? All in favor?